We will proceed with debate on vote 1. I will now afford the secretary to read the second order of the day.
Debate on vote 1, Premier Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill.
I recognize the Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Speaker, to you, to our Cabinet colleagues, Leader of the Opposition, honourable members of this House, and residents of our great province, the Western Cape. Today I table the 2025-26 adjusted estimate for the Department of the Premier, reflecting our continued and enduring commitment to fiscal responsibility, improved service delivery, and the acceleration of our digital and energy resilience efforts, all in support of a growing economy that enables our residents to get more and more and more jobs. And of course, the exact numbers will be reflected in the next budget vote, so I won't take those numbers away from the Minister. Deputy Speaker, 2025 has been a year of turbulence, both at home and abroad. Globally, our world has become accustomed to an increasingly fractious and unstable geopolitical environment, marked by a return to autocratic global politics, a degeneration of the rules-based international order, a greatly heightened trade instability. And as a nation, we have a duty to carefully navigate these stormy waters to find the best possible way forward for our nation and our province. Thankfully, I believe this task has been made easier by the resilience of our people and our democracy here at home. In 2025, the growing pains of the Government of National Unity continue, but have ultimately moved the country forward. The centre has held, despite robust debate and at times healthy disagreement. I firmly believe that we must remain steadfast in our ultimate commitment to the people we are elected to serve. While not perfect, this latest adjustment budget at the national level shows the first signs of a smarter approach to revenue generation, fiscal discipline, and meaningful investment in job creation. Through economic growth, the Western Cape government, and specifically the Department of the Premier, are ready to play their part in this project of national importance. And here I must recognize Minister Godongwana and Deputy Minister Surapin for getting us off the grey list, for the discipline that's in the system, because you can measure it in the business confidence. You can measure it in just the feeling in our country, the respect that our country is gaining in the global economic environment. And this is the change that we all support. Crime, although, Mr. Deputy Speaker, remains a formidable challenge, particularly for our residents who experience or witness violence on a daily basis here in our province and across our country. The human and economic toll is immense. The latest available crime statistics are horrific, but they also show that when we implement targeted local policing programs informed by data and evidence, backed by solid partnerships, violent crime can be reduced. Our Law Enforcement Advancement Plan, or LEAP, is proof of this. From July to October 2025, in areas where LEAP is active and hotspot policing is coordinated, there we're making reductions. 19.2% decrease in hijackings, 12.7% decrease in attempted murders, 4.7% drop in murders. Compared to quarter 2 2024 to 2025, the murder rate in the combined LEAP areas, these are the areas of Delft, Gugulethu, Khayelitsha, Mitchells Plain, Nyanga, and Philippi East, reduced by 9.4%, while the province as a whole increased by 9.1%. Shows that these interventions are working. In the 3 reaction unit areas, these are where the mobile reaction unit is used. There, this is Elsie's River, Manenberg, and Steenberg. There was a combined reduction of 14.3%, with a significant reduction in Manenberg of minus 20.8, and in Steenberg of minus 56.3. These percentages are immense. They are showing that we actually need to bring in a different policing model, because I've mentioned the rest of our province, the murder rate grew by 9%, nearly 10%. This is proof that when policing resources are strategically and deliberately deployed, crime does go down. Backed up by violence prevention programs operating out of the Department of Social Development or the Department of Health and Wellness and the Department of Education, the Western Cape government is doing everything in its power to reduce crime and violence. Ultimately, the lead crime-fighting agency is the South African Police Service. And under the leadership of the Minister of Police, we are encouraged by the Minister's intentions to allocate additional resources to address gang violence and gun-related crime. And we look forward to the Minister's visit early in the new year, where we will, together with the city and our other municipalities, our police oversight and the community safety department, engage on new areas of cooperation so that we can actually focus on bringing down these violent crime numbers that affect our residents every single day. Mr. Deputy Speaker, the budget we table today for vote 1 will enable this department to continue to forge ahead with the provisions of broadband to our government and our residents. It will further strengthen our efforts towards energy and water resilience in a changing global climate, and it will allow us to continue to transversely support our government's departments and entities as they implement the 2025-2030 Provincial Strategic Plan. Ultimately, this budget will allow us to continue working towards a fair society, safer communities, and massive job creation through sustained economic growth. We are already seeing the fruits of this work in the quarterly labour force survey and the GDP statistics. The Western Cape is showing economic resilience despite heavy headwinds. In aggregate, the department's budget increases by 104.9 million rand over the MTEF, adjusting the baseline from just over 2 billion to 2.1 billion. This adjustment strengthens our financial position and sets a more credible and stable foundation for the upcoming 2026 medium-term expenditure framework. In particular, the budget allows us to keep our energy resilience program fully operational while still allowing our core energy team to adapt to changes in the energy space and to respond to the relevant global developments. It was only last year when our people had nearly become numb to South Africa's catastrophic energy crisis, having little choice but to endure not just the relentless load shedding, but the economic devastation that this caused. We saw businesses close. We saw people lose jobs. We saw our nation almost lose hope. But still, hope that one day those responsible for the endemic corruption and incessant looting that caused so much pain will be held accountable. For now, though, we can only be grateful that the national energy supply system seems to have been stabilized. While Eskom power cuts have abated, we need to keep pushing even harder to make our province and country energy resilient. The solution to our energy crisis has been around us from the start. Solar and wind energy have largely helped to keep load shedding at bay. So much so that this year we saw renewable energy surpass coal globally for the first time in recorded history. The Western Cape Energy Resilience Program continues to make solid progress. Through this intervention, 819 megawatts of renewable power has been added to the provincial grid in the past financial year, with another 1,000 in the pipeline on its way. If we maintain this momentum, we will reach our objective of 5,700 megawatts, well ahead of our 2035 target. This is how you tackle a crisis, with urgency, vigor, and collaboration. This is a direct investment in stable economic growth through energy security. This is a direct investment in future and current job creation numbers, which you will also hear in the next debate. As part of prudent financial management, several budget realignments have been made, amounting to 28.4 million rand, this being shifted from current financial year of 2020 or to the 2026-27 year. The environment we face demands our resilience, and so this department has worked to ensure that not a single cent is wasted as we respond to the requirements of our serious task. Some budgetary realignments include 2 million rand to return to the Western Cape Integrated Resource Plan, secured funding from the UK's Partnering of Accelerated Climate Change Transition Program, and of course, wherever we can find new money, additional money, we must grab it with both hands. 6 million from the municipal pooled buying initiative, which is no longer feasible due to the rapidly evolving national energy procurement landscape and the electricity distribution reforms. These adjustments ensure that our energy initiatives remain realistic, well-governed, and aligned to a fast-changing national energy landscape. Mr. Deputy Speaker, this year we welcomed Sarah Roberts to our Office of the Commissioner for Children, an added measure of our efforts to protect the rights of young people in our province. A further 4.1 million rand is being handed over to reallocation for the 26-27 financial year to more comprehensively capacitate the Commissioner in her efforts to support our younger generation. We remain committed to strengthening this important institution and ensuring its long-term sustainability. Between the Office of the Commissioner of Children and this House's ad hoc committee on child protection reform, I look forward to the coming year bringing further prioritization to the voices of our province's youth. Deputy Speaker, as in previous years, this department faces the task of heading up our continued push to improve digital services across the government and the province. The department receives 70.9 million rand through shifts from other votes. These funds will strengthen technology systems, including 1.2 million rand for safety-related software systems, 4.3 million rand for ICT services in education, 57.3 million rand for cloud computing and technical services for the Department of Health and Wellness, and 9.1 million rand to support the rollout of electronic content management across all departments. Of the health allocation, 35.3 million rand will enhance MS Azure cloud stability, expand cloud resources, and support systems essential to patient services, including the ECM rollout at Groote Hospital. A further 15.2 million rand to support Microsoft licensing, ensuring cost-effective access for frontline workers. The remaining 6.8 million rand strengthens dedicated IT service capacity at health facilities. These investments anchor the digital backbone of our public service and ensure sustainable, efficient, and innovative approaches to program delivery. In addition, 4 million rand is shifted to the Department of Infrastructure for the continued reconfiguration of the Provincial Training Institute at Cromeria. This will support its transformation into a world-leading public sector learning and innovation campus. It also really creates a great platform how we continue to develop the culture of our organization, the culture journey itself. And here I must say to the officials of this government, congratulations once again, not only the Topco 100 that we've been in for 3 years, competing with 1,700 businesses across this continent, for receiving that accolade of a wonderful place to work, but also the Sunday Times competition where, as a government, we came number 2 in the big organization category in South Africa. And that really is an accolade to each and every person that works for this government in service of our communities. Our commitment to a fully connected government remains unwavering. The new Western Cape Broadband and Public Wi-Fi agreement signed on the 12th of April 2025 is now in rollout, and it will expand connectivity to 355 additional sites, including 241 schools, 35 health facilities, and 29 agricultural sites, all in rural areas. To support this, 40 million rand is being brought forward to manage migration costs from the older Broadband 1.0 contract to the more cost-effective Broadband 2.0 model. A further 5 million rand is allocated to support major provincial and international events. This includes our responsibilities in hosting the 12th Regional Leaders Summit and the inaugural Western Cape Investment Summit, a 5.5 million rand to support ICT modernization projects in the Department of Infrastructure. Honourable Speaker, digital transformation is central to building a government that is modern, responsive, and resident-centered. This broadband and Wi-Fi program is connecting tens of thousands of residents to opportunities and allowing communities to cross the digital divide. The Western Cape's 5-year digital transformation plan 2025-30 is nearing completion. This plan has been developed through extensive consultation with industry, academia, national partners, and our own public servants. It will guide the next phase of our journey towards a more agile, digitally enabled province. We continue to expand access to digital public services. The e-kiosks program has now been successfully scaled to e-centers, rural libraries, and museums. Especially in rural areas, this means the Western Cape is now home to 81 built e-centers and one mobile e-bus as well. These facilities continue to serve the most underdeveloped parts of our province, ensuring that residents can access vital services over the internet. These include housing subsidies, housing applications, e-procurement, online school admissions, Western Cape Ombudsman contact, sports funding support, and many, many more opportunities. I firmly believe that these facilities represent one of this department's simplest but most important contributions towards our apex priority of building an economy that creates jobs and giving our residents the tools that they need to get these jobs. We are seeing more and more digitization of job adverts and applications, so internet access is critical. Through the work of our e-center and e-innovation, we are directly and demonstrably putting that power into the hands of residents. Speaker, there is a reason we stand as a beacon of hope and progress to our residents. There is a reason that even President Ramaphosa has reaffirmed our government as exemplary. That reason is simple. We listen to our residents and we remain laser-like focused on delivering programs that serve our residents in the best interests. Programs that keep giving more residents opportunities and giving them more opportunities and giving them the opportunity themselves to build a prosperous future in our province. In conclusion, Mr. Deputy Speaker, the adjusted budget reflects our strong standing commitment to fiscal discipline and a forward-looking investment, much needed amid a national economy that continues to struggle and ongoing global trade fragmentation. Whether in energy resilience, digital governance, or in modernization of our public service, every rand is dedicated towards the Western Cape that can and is more capable, innovative, caring, and prepared for the future. Over the next year, our department and our government will continue to do what they do best, to provide effective, accountable, and caring government to our residents. We are confident the work we have done. We are confident in the work that we have done. We know that there is still work to do. Our focus, as ever, is on the real pressing needs of all of our residents. I would like to thank the Director General and our colleagues in the departments, in the Department of the Premier, and all of our public servants who daily go above and beyond what is expected of them in service of the great people of this great province. I commend this adjusted budget to this House for debate.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. You will now have your opportunity. I recognize the Honorable Syed.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, members of the public in the gallery, including the leaders of the Children's Parliament, today we rise to debate Budget Vote 1, a budget that should set the tone for ethical leadership, transparent governance, and public confidence. Instead, what we were presented with is a budget shrouded in selective disclosure, evasive answers, and priorities that do not speak to the lived realities of the people of the Western Cape. The ANC cannot support a budget that is not for the people. We cannot support a budget that redirects millions away from service departments while our communities cry out for teachers, nurses, and frontline personnel. We cannot support a budget that centralizes ICT spending in the Premier's department while classrooms remain overcrowded, clinics understaffed, and people remain without houses when National has provided money for houses. We cannot support a budget that treats people that that treats public accountability as an irritation, not a responsibility. And we certainly cannot support a budget whose very foundation is weakened by the department's failure to disclose a financial payment received from an international organization, a 51,000 Rand reimbursement from the Under 2 coalition for the Premier's visit to New York mysteriously appears nowhere in the adjustment estimates. Deputy Speaker, the department told us on Friday that it did not need to declare this payment. That is an extraordinary and deeply troubling response from an office that is supposed to lead by example. Treasury rules are not optional. Transparency is not optional. Accountability to this House is not optional. When a department decides for itself what it will report and what it will withhold, it raises the most serious questions. If this was not declared, what else is being kept from the people of the Western Cape? That is why the ANC's decision to refer the matter to the Registrar of Members' Interests and the Public Protector is vindicated. Friday's response confirms that external oversight is essential because internal accountability has failed. Deputy Speaker, this budget reflects the priorities of a Premier who is becoming increasingly disconnected from the communities he serves. In retreat, the people ask for safety, not excuses. In Pakalsdorp, families ask for nurses, not IT consultants. In Hout Bay, Bloekombos, and Induli, children ask for teachers, not yet another restructuring of the Center for E-Innovation. The Western Cape government found more than 70 million Rand to move into ICT functions in the Premier's office, but somehow could not find the same urgency for classrooms, clinics, or community safety, or to monitor the delivery of these. This is not a budget for the people. It is a budget for bureaucracy. Honorable Speaker, as we evaluate the moral compass of this provincial government, we cannot ignore the context in which the budget is tabled. A world shaken by devastation in Palestine, in Western Sahara, in Sudan, in Congo, and in the conflict zones across the global south, where the voices of the oppressed are silenced by those who hold economic and political power. We commend the principled and strategic leadership shown by our President Cyril Ramaphosa in the geopolitical terrain, culminating in our successful hosting of the G20 summit and Africa's inclusion in the G20 going forward. The ANC stands firmly with the oppressed and vulnerable. We stand with the families in Gaza who have lost everything. We stand with the people of Western Sahara who continue to face occupation. We stand with the people of Sudan who are suffering in silence as the world looks away from the deadly civil war. And we reject attempts to demonize or criminalize those who speak for peace, human rights, and inclusivity. We therefore urge the House to place on record our profound appreciation to our former Premier, Ambassador Ibrahim Rasool, and our former Minister of International Relations, Dr. Naledi Pandor, two veterans of the democratic struggle and residents of this province who have endured attacks, threats, and misinformation campaigns because they refuse to be silent in the face of right-wing white supremacy, genocide, ethnic cleansing, and human suffering. Ambassador Rasool and Dr. Pandor have demonstrated a moral courage that transcends political convenience. Their commitment to pushing back against populism and to promote a culture of inclusivity and South Africa's principal foreign policy tradition is an example of what real leadership looks like. Leadership must be ethical, not only when it's easy, but especially when it's difficult. Deputy Speaker, the ANC cannot, in good conscience, support a budget vote that fails the test of transparency, fails the test of priorities, and fails the test of moral leadership. The people of the Western Cape deserve a government that serves them honestly, transparently, and wholeheartedly. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Syed. I recognize the Honorable Stevens.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. The Patriotic Alliance rises today to debate Budget Vote 1. We wish to make it clear that the Patriotic Alliance supports this vote, recognizing the importance of adjusting budgets to meet the emerging needs of our province. However, Honourable Deputy Speaker, some sections of this budget do not fully address the needs of all communities. Our rural areas, informal settlements, and the most vulnerable, especially the poor, remain underrepresented in these allocations. Development must reach every citizen, not just those in urban centres. We call on the Premier and this Provincial Parliament to ensure that future budget allocations are equitable, inclusive, and responsive, reaching all corners of the Western Cape. Our people deserve service, opportunities, and support, no matter where they live. Honourable Speaker, the Patriotic Alliance supports the budget today, but we will continue to hold this government accountable to all communities, not only the privileged few. Equity must guide every decision, every allocation, and every policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Stevens. I recognize Honourable Walters.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, I was asked to keep my speech short, but I'm unfortunately I cannot resist. As the Honourable Member Sayed was speaking, I recalled, in fact, I have the article, I will send it through to the ANC colleagues, where the Comintern in the 1950s, the people that trained the ANC, how they dealt with propaganda, how they advised when the communist movement is under pressure, how you deal with your opponents. Now, the way it worked was, first of all, you distract, right? You start talking about things that have nothing to do with the topic, the real topic, where, in fact, the ANC is actually the accused in the call it in the benches of the court in terms of corruption, but you distract. What you do is you infuse what you do with the language of morality, right? We'll get back to that just now. You emote it. You make it very emotional. And what you do is you do also make it very personal. You select individuals. Now, let's look at what Member Sayed did. He took a donation to the government that actually saves money for the Western Cape government, right? He pretends that it's a personal donation to the Premier, and then he pretends that this is an act of a lack of transparency. So what he does is he personalizes, he distracts because he has nothing really to say about the budget, as we could hear. He emotes it. He talks of people suffering, and we'll get back to that just now. Talk of people suffering, and then, of course, he tries to position himself on the right side of history, when in fact we know the record of the ANC. But let's get to the record of the ANC, and this is how we were trained in the DA. We respond with facts, and I'll choose one fact. The Kusile Power Station, that is 11 years over time, that where 152 billion rands was stolen through corruption. It was stolen by ANC cadres. That is, it went 152 billion rands over its original budget. That's nearly twice the provincial budget of 89 billion. Imagine what this government could have done with 152 billion rands to deal with children that are vulnerable, to deal with children that don't go to school, employing extra teachers, getting infrastructure up and running, not that it's anywhere close to the other provinces. This is the legacy of the ANC. They have absolutely no standing to stand here and talk about transparency, talk about accountability and the veils, the utter nonsense they were talking about a lack of transparency and an intention not to help the poor. The fact is they're the enemies of the poor. They're the enemies of the poor. But, Honourable Speaker, during the committee deliberations considering the appropriation budget votes, I was struck by a phenomenon that needs to be reflected upon, which often gets overlooked in the clickbait nature of news coverage in South Africa. You see, Honourable Acting Speaker, conflict sells, and often our political debates are presented as dramatic conflicts and battles for ideas. However, if you look at the recordings of our deliberations, you actually carefully study the underlying arguments, one will see a near wholesale agreement with the underlying vision of the Western Cape. The ideas of a capable, honest and caring government mobilizing the resources of the state and society as a whole towards dealing with the major obstacles towards a happy, prosperous and confident society. It is frankly the benchmark in South Africa for a transversal whole of government, whole of society approach that empowers South Africans while simultaneously using resources prudently and wisely. It's about a deep collective effort for the next generation, as opposed to populist, temporary and opportunistic appeals to instant gratification. Of course, there are parties that are committed to making a name for themselves or reinventing themselves by tendentiously, as I described, crafting narratives from
Honorable
disconnected
Walters, please take your seat. I recognize the Chief Whip of the
Chair,
official opposition.
on a point of order, I am just checking here. We are on vote 1. I'm rising on a point of relevance. Where are we, Kanti, now? Really?
Honorable
We can
Chief
always,
Whip,
he's invited at the 4th floor. We can teach him the LDR that
I'll rule on it now. Thank you, honorable members. Based on the running commentary, I sincerely trust that you enjoyed, honorable members. Based on the running commentary, I trust that you enjoyed lunch. However, we are needing to maintain the decorum of the House. This is a political debate on vote 1 under the Premier, and I will allow the Honorable Walters to proceed. Recognize the Honorable Minister.
I haven't spoken yet. You're absolutely correct. But I haven't spoken yet, and she said it's a point of privilege. Is she a Sangoma that can read?
Please get to the point of order.
Okay, Honorable Deputy Speaker, I respect your ruling. I will sit down, but can you calm down the House? This is one of the excellent speeches that I am listening to, and I'm so interested in the speech. because-
Honorable Minister, that is not a point of order, but I appreciate your comment and it is noted. Honorable members, we will proceed
Dr. Ma-
based on my estimation. We are scheduled to promptly finish at 7 tonight, and I sincerely trust that members will accommodate each and every vote.
Point
Chief
of order,
Whip.
Speaker. In case the minister forgot a member bans, I'm not she.
I'm so sorry. I duly note members. Let's proceed, Member Walters.
Honourable Acting Speaker, I was hoping that the Honourable Barnes was going to ask me a question, but I'll get to my answer. Stop stealing, stop being corrupt, and then the country will be better off. That would have been my answer. Honourable Speaker, I was busy talking about tendentiously crafting narratives from disconnected of facts, and of course parties who are deeply worried about their continued relevance, who tried to feed the clickbait culture I was referring to. But Honourable Speaker, it seems like the ideological challenges and divisions are no more in this House. It would be tremendously ungenerous of me to declare victory in the battle of ideas. I prefer instead to thank the dedicated members of this House from all parties for their buy-in and role in keeping the DA as the governing party accountable to its own ideas. Thank you for holding up our own ideas as the benchmark of accountability. The Western Cape objectively leads in South Africa. There are many impressive projects, programs and initiatives within Vote 1. Firstly, the Western Cape Integrated Energy and Water Council. This project elevates the strategic focus beyond just energy by expanding the initial Energy Council to formally include water and climate change. This comprehensive approach aims to proactively secure and protect the province's vital natural resources, addressing energy resilience and water scarcity, which are key prerequisites for breakout economic growth and resilience. The Western Cape is leading the way and other provinces are actively studying our approach. Secondly, the implementation of the artificial intelligence policy and governance framework. As part of the drive to create a smart, future-fit government, the Western Cape government is embracing the possibilities of artificial intelligence to improve service delivery and efficiency. A crucial step is the development of an AI policy, an AI governance framework to ensure the responsible and ethical use of generative AI throughout the government system. In this regard, the province is well on track with broadband 2.0 and pervasive connectivity. It's a major digital infrastructure project aimed at achieving a digitally empowered and enabled Western Cape government. This initiative is targeting 2,000 sites to create high-speed internet and continuing to provide free Wi-Fi services to residents, especially the poor. This connectivity is considered a key catalyst for socio-economic development and job creation. Acting Speaker, the Western Cape government is also overhauling the resident experience through the culture journey and frontline audits. A central priority of the Premier is actively seeking to build trust with residents by overhauling the experience of government. This involves ramping up the culture journey interventions for staff, especially frontline employees, to ensure responsive and accessible services, and implementing routine frontline service delivery improvement reports based on site visits by senior managers to assess conditions and recommend service improvements. The Western Cape is also doing the
Honourable
next
Walters.
generation.
Thank you. I recognize the Honourable Syed.
Slight point of order, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
I was going to
It's
say,
the end of the year, so we can have some room to play. I'm not sure whether there's an acting speaker in the House. My last time I saw you were elected by the House as the Deputy Speaker.
Thank you so much.
Just please refer to you appropriately. Thank
Thank you so much. That's not a point of order. However, you are correct, and members are fully aware. You may proceed.
my apologies. I absolutely support that, your finding, and also the point of order. You must remember, I served in the Gauteng Provincial Legislature where the ANC had no sense of rules, so I got confused along the way. But yes, the Western Cape is also viewing the next generation as a key asset for the future. We welcome its continued investment in transversal youth experience programs, and the department coordinates various institutionalized internship and work experience opportunities for the youth, such as the Premier's Advancement of Youth program, specifically aiming to enhance the social and economic advancement of youth, thereby addressing the high youth unemployment challenge. Nevertheless, we need to acknowledge some major fiscal impediments and severe financial pressure, as well as fluctuating economic conditions. There's overall budget pressure. The fiscal outlook for the country and the province remains under pressure. And the constraints at the National Treasury limits the department's ability to fully fund its initiatives over the medium term. There's also the cost of employee compensation. Pressure on the compensation of employees' budget means there's little room to adequately fund organizational structures. The department, however, is prudently managing the impact of the recent wage agreement at a national level through attrition. There's also the impact of currency fluctuations. The rand to dollar exchange rate continues to put pressure on the Western Cape government's budget, particularly for essential payouts like Microsoft software licenses, necessitating continuous efforts to find funding solutions. Fiscal constraints may require key innovation, culture, and governance interventions, such as the reconfiguration of the Provincial Training Institute into an innovation hub. It's also to be staggered over a longer period. There's also key external challenges, including external macro risks, technology threats, and internal operational coherence. Crime is cited as a significant impediment to meaningful economic growth, driven by gangs and extortion syndicates over and above the human impact. The dramatic increase in cybercrime requires significant and continuous investment in advanced tools for detection, prevention, recovery, and containment to protect Western Cape government systems and the continuity of service delivery. Cybersecurity incidents could erode public trust in digital services. There's an inherent need to maintain the good governance gains made by this government, and we need to always guard against a regression in governance across the Western Cape government, as fiscal challenges potentially heighten the risk of government lapses. Nevertheless, despite these challenges, we are proud of the Western Cape's successes in 2025. This government is the job creation leader. I'm not going to go into detail. I think we've made that point. It's a far lower unemployment rate at 19.6%. It leads in long-term water security. It leads in energy resilience progress. It leads in healthcare financial excellence. And the Western Cape, just on that, the Western Cape Department of Health and Wellness achieved its 7th consecutive clean audit from the Auditor General, signaling high standards of governance and financial efficiency. It also leads in accelerated infrastructure delivery. So the Western Cape successfully fast-tracked the delivery of key public facilities, including building several schools in less than 100 days to rapidly address backlogs. Honourable Speaker, the Western Cape leads, and I thank you for the time the DA supports this vote.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, the Honourable Walters. I recognize the Honourable Minister.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I know you're a generous man. Can you give him some extra time?
The time allocated, Honourable members, please relax.
Was such a nice speech.
The Honourable members' time has been allocated. That is not a request that I will be able to entertain. There was 2 minutes still remaining, so we will promptly proceed. You are unable to get the time if I'm able to read your mind. I recognize the Honourable Syed.
No, Chair, as the leader of the opposition, I want to make a proposal that we give that time that was remaining to the Honourable Mayor to speak to us and maybe shed some light on on Taiwan and China and the geopolitics. in that regard.
Unfortunately,
Thank you.
Can I do it now?
Honourable Minister, please take your seat.
I would like to do it now.
Please take your seat.
You can't wait. He's so eager.
Honourable Mayor. Honourable Mayor, we will proceed as per the order paper and the relevant orders that is listed. We are currently in vote 1, which is the 3rd order for the day, and I recognize the Premier.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Before I thank the honourable members for taking part in this debate, I would really like to recognise some of our guests from the Nelson Mandela Children's Parliament. It's really great to have you here. I hope you're still here. Some of the youth that are here from Langa, who I believe came to visit us on the first Thursday, and there have been linkages through to DSD, and thank you very much for being here today. So thank you to the honourable members for their contribution in this debate. I will start from the chair of the committee, Honourable Walters. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your contribution. I first want to say you speak about a leading province, and I'm very proud of this province. I'm proud of each and every one of the officials that work in this province that try to make this province better every single day. And on most of these indicators, we definitely are the best province by far in South Africa. But we will keep working towards making it even better because, of course, there are issues and problems that our residents face. I highlighted a number of those in my initial contribution around specifically those citizens, those residents in our province that bear the brunt of criminal activity here in our province. This is really serious stuff that we have to deal with, not only as a province, but as a country, a province, and our municipalities together. But the Honourable Walters, you also spoke about corruption. You spoke about corruption, which is that cancer that actually eats away at the ability of government to deliver in South Africa. Because when the money gets stolen, it actually gets stolen from the poorest of the poor. It gets stolen from those who need service delivery the most because the money disappears. We think about the Zondo Commission. Who's in jail? And billions and billions. You speak about just the 152 billion in corruption around one energy plant. One
Honorable
energy plant.
Premier, can you please take your seat? I recognize the Honorable Michaels.
Speaker, ek wil net deur u vir die premier vra of ek 'n vraag gou kan vra asseblief.
Premier, are you willing to take a question from the Honorable Michaels? Honorable Michaels, you have the floor.
Ja, premier, ek hoor heeltyd van korrupsie. Ek wil net seker maak sluit dit nou in Swellendam munisipaliteit se korrupsie ook wat onder DA beheer is en die een in Kaapstad.
I see the
Thank
Premier.
you. Thank you very much for that question. Of course, if you want real details, we can have a look at the Swellendam municipality who's actually asked for an independent audit of those accusations, and you have a look at what that independent audit says about those accusations. And it's quite interesting because he calls it corruption, but the audit says exactly the opposite. And where there are issues in our governments, we deal with it. But I wonder that individual who stood up and asked the question, we should be asking the question.
Order, members. Members. Honorable members. Honorable members, I would want to remind you of Rule 39. The running commentary is drowning out the speaker. It borders on Rule 40, where you are interrupting the speaker. Honorable Premier, you may proceed.
Thank you very much. And then finally, in answering that question that I got, the honourable member needs to ask himself about when his watch was in TWK and we lost 50 million rand money that cannot be accounted for. The Auditor General can't find the paperwork.
Honourable
Another
Premier.
100 million rand in corruption
Honourable
and
Premier.
lost funding.
I recognize the the leader of the opposition.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, I think we're trying to obviously engage within a context that is robust and constructive. The Premier is casting aspersions. He should bring a substantive motion against the Honorable Michaels if he wishes to continue in the way in which he is doing. And then when he brings that, we'll also talk about the latest Auditor General's report on Theobatus Kloof and see where the corruption was really.
Thank you so much. Honourable members, you are fully aware of the relevant levers within Parliament. The rules is quite explicit and I will direct members in that regard. We have 6 minutes, unlimited time. We have the Premier on the floor who is concluding vote number 1, which is the third order.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. And obviously just finishing off, I look forward to the scope investigations on the corruption in Theobatus Kloof, on the missing money, on the paperwork, and on any municipality, of course, because corruption in our country takes money away from the poorest of the poor. It is corrupt, and corrupt people should be going to jail. That's what should happen. So coming back to the Honourable Walters, thank you very much. As I said, the Zondo Commission, we put a lot of energy in our country into the Zondo Commission, and I'm still looking forward to those court cases and those people involved in corruption. They're going to jail. I think I would like to also say to the Honourable Stevens, thank you very much for your support of the budget and also talking about rural areas. And of course, this adjustment budget and specifically the ICT, which I said the free Wi-Fi hotspots, more than 2,000 of them across our province, and primarily in areas where people are poor and in rural areas where they get free access to gigabytes, to gigs of data at high speed, which really starts to change people's lives, let alone all of the e-centers, the mobile e-centers, and the expansion now to more and more spaces. That's exactly what this adjustment is doing, and what, as I said in the initial vote, in the initial debate, of what Broadband 2.0 is doing and how it's ramping up more and more services to citizens across this province. Then to the, if I can say, to the honourable leader of the opposition. It was quite interesting. This is a budget debate. Your chief whip behind you wanted to know relevance to the budget debate from the chair of the committee, but I saw that you didn't really deal with the budget. You went
Honourable
around
Premier,
international markets
are
and
you able to take your seat? I recognize Leader of the Official Opposition.
Honorable Chair, can the Premier again, I don't know what's happening to the Premier today, but can the Premier please not address me directly? Can he address me through you, as per the protocols in the House?
Honourable members, I fully actually appreciate Member Syed raising that point in order for me to say the following. We are needing to maintain the decorum of the House and ultimately ensure that members are afforded the time as per the order paper and the speaking times. I would want to encourage all members to maintain the decorum of the House so that we can ultimately ensure that the members here and in the gallery from Langa, we have Mr. Tristan from Youth Parliament, Member Syed, Member Gillian, myself, Member Simmers. We once sat where you sat. So we are fully aware that many people are listening online and in the chamber, and I will sincerely trust that members will maintain the decorum. And once again, to speak via the chair. Honourable Premier, you may proceed.
thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, and again through you to the Honourable Syed in answering his questions. He spoke about the redirecting of money to services, and then he drifted off into education issues, when in actual fact this whole adjustment budget is about an extra 1.7 billion rand, about a responsible government saying, for example, when you get money 3 days before the end of the financial year, you responsibly transfer that money into the next year to spend on proper programs. You don't steal it, you don't dump it, you do it properly, and that's exactly what this government does. We believe in good governance, and we've got the record to show for it. But dealing with the honourable member who speaks about the budget in a very scant way, he spends much more time talking about a 51,000 rand fund or money that came back to our government from an air ticket from a visit to the US, which was declared. I mean, the reason it was debated in an annual report, it was because it was declared. But it was interesting because in his whole debate, he did not speak about probably the biggest issue that our residents are facing right now, and that is one of crime. He went to international conflicts and all sorts of other things around the world, but he didn't speak about the real issue that our residents face, is one of crime. The second thing is that he went to talk about money that goes into ICT, and of course that's what this government has, a central unit that provides these services to each of these departments. And the whole debate was about what money comes in to provide better services to each of these departments to make sure that the residents of our region are getting the services that they deserve. The interesting thing is he said it should have been rather spent on classrooms. Well, let's talk about classrooms, and I'm sure when Minister Mania talks about the budget there, but let's talk about classrooms. In Gauteng, where his party runs, and Gauteng province, remember, has got more than double the number of people that live in this province. They also have a pressure of people coming to look for education. In the last year, they built 48 schools. They built 48 schools. This is the province that built 97 schools. This is the province with a rapid school build program. This is the province that built new schools in Lwandle, new schools in Blue Ridge, new schools, an expanded school in Swansbeek, Blueberry High, a new school in Lower Crossroads, new school in Brackenfell, new school in Brantwood, expansion in Wellington, new school in Takehoff, new school in Manenberg. This is the School of Skills, expanded school at Bissett's Drift, a new school, Voyaseka High School in Philippi, a new school in, expanded school in Darling, expanded school in Oudtshoorn, the Fila School in Goodwood, the Concordia Primary School in Knysna. And so the list goes on, where National Treasury actually gives this province extra money. But you see, the problem is the Honourable Said harps on small little things and tries to make big things of it. He doesn't come to the real issue, where he is the leader of the opposition in this province. He should be talking about the real things that the people in this province face. But I think that's why the ANC are doing a review of their whole bench here to understand what they are doing in this province. Why are they losing traction in this province? Why do they not grow in this province? That is the question, and they should reflect on what they want to deal with in this province. We want an effective opposition because that's how democracies work. That's exactly how they work, so that we actually engage. And I have yet to hear in this province a relevant policy issue that we should be adopting because they've shown how it works in other provinces that they run. Not one ever. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Honorable members, the Chief Whip, as well as the Deputy Chief Whip, at 10:48 earlier on, during the course of this morning, the Speaker already indicated that there was a second warning because of the running commentary at 10:48 earlier. So I'm wanting to caution members again that we are wanting to ensure that the debates that is scheduled can actually run accordingly. I now see Member Syed.
Honorable Speaker, I was not going to do this, but because the Premier, who also feels he's got jurisdiction over Gauteng and other provinces, didn't necessarily respond. He was dismissed. I wanted to know if I can ask a question on some of the global issues.
The Premier has already taken his seat. So please allow me to say the following, that concludes the debate on vote number 1, which was the third order of the day. Honorable members, we will promptly proceed to the fourth order. Let me get an indication from the Minister if there's officials joining. No officials joining. We will now proceed, and I will see the Secretary read the fourth order of the day.
Debate on vote 12, Economic Development and Tourism, Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill.
I recognize the Minister, Minister Meyer.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. It is a great pleasure and a joy because this government has now just published its record of delivery, Mr. Tony. And I am so proud because this record of delivery also captures the apex priority of this government that is reflected in the growth of job strategy. I want to thank all the members in this House because I chair a cabinet committee on growth for jobs. And I'm so happy that this adjustment budget is fully aligned with the strategic objectives of the growth for job. But it goes beyond that. It is fully aligned with the principles, the objectives, and the priorities of this whole government, namely growth for jobs, safety, education, healthy and a caring environment, innovation, culture, and governance. And therefore, I rise and ask these members of this House to support a province, a program that delivers. In the last 5 years, this government in South Africa, 400,000 new jobs were created, Honorable Deputy Speaker, in the last 5 years, 400,000 new jobs to those in the gallery. And to my friends, through you, Speaker, 400,000 new jobs were created, Selina. And guess what? 360,347, in other words, 89% of South Africa jobs that were created in the last 5 years under the leadership of Premier Ellen Windey. And therefore, I seek your support that we continue on this trajectory to provide jobs, because your job is to assist me in delivering on my mandate. And therefore today, I table in this house because the Honorable Minister said we are upscaling the offshore business process outsourcing sector now employs, to those through you, Deputy Speaker, to the youth in the audience, the offshore BPO sector now nearly employs 80,000 young people, mainly from Khayelitsha and from Mitchell's Plain and from the Cape Flats. This government cares for the poor. Also, this sector contributes 24 billion rand in foreign flows. It's roughly 50 billion rand to the provincial GDP. I think the members are in agreement. This is outstanding achievement. And we are creating another 10,000 new jobs. And so, Honorable Deputy Speaker, the success is being replicated in tech and AI occupations through partnership with Microsoft, TVET colleges and industry, supported by up to 150 million rand per annum in extra funding. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I was advised by my chief whip, keep it short. I am now in his absence, wanted to take a gap, but we have a deputy chief whip, so I cannot take a gap. I will listen to her, but I want to say we have seen foreign overnight arrivals surged by 11.8% year on year, January to September this year, with emerging growth also from Saudi Arabia and Namibia. And we have a tourism infrastructure plan, realignment to support both product development and infrastructure in terms of tourism. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I table my adjustment budget because you've asked me so nicely that I be short. And so, in conclusion, colleagues, our province credibility test rests on a simple premise: deliver more, impact more, and today's adjustment budget honors that exactly. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the lunch was so nice. I'm not going to disturb that lunch. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Minister Meyer. We will proceed. I recognize the Honorable Unkondlo.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, it is actually a tragedy, the tragedy of history, that every time in this House we debate serious matters of structural problems of the economy we are responsible for at different levels and spheres of government, we choose to throw shade at each other and actually become condescending to individuals than the debate. Because we choose, and that is a deliberate choice that we make, that maybe what is comfortable to us is to insult each other than to deal with the reality of people that by legacy of more than 300 years that have been excluded on the basis of the color of their skin. Allow me, Deputy Speaker, to say, consistent, we note that this particular budget vote has actually been adjusted down with about 23.1 million. I want to actually plead with Minister, because I know he's very passionate with the Department of Agriculture, so that this particular department is not necessarily a stepchild. He gives it the very passion and a focus that he gives to agriculture. So I would like to see him throwing blue books and all the things that he normally does here when he presents also this vote, because this is a very important vote in dealing in particular with the structural problems of our economy, so that whether we speak agriculture, tourism, any other sector in the province, we are able to know that actually what hinges in the policy focus of this particular department helps everybody in the Western Cape government understand the balance that we need to do to keep our economy growing in the first economy, but also to tinker with what is the second economy where marginalized are sitting. And that is what we represent. And we shall not be silenced on that agenda. The consistent underspending we have witnessed in this department is not a technical glitch, nor is it an isolated administrative oversight. It is a symptom of deeper structural weaknesses in how the government plans, manages, and delivers services. When a department repeatedly fails to spend the money allocated to it, especially on core functions and personnel, it reveals poor planning, weak internal controls, and a lack of operational capacity. Speaker, while we debate Vote 12 today, we know that these issues appear across several other departments. The COE underspending, that is the compensation of employees, again recurs and said to be due to delays within recruitment processes. That's the reason. Almost 16 sub-programs in this particular vote shifted 16.2 million to reclassify that funding towards leave gratuity payout of staff who left the employ of the department. So in this department, money is being used to pay out staff to exit than to be employed, then them towards a growth for jobs. So it is growth for exiting. In the 2024-25 financial year, the department spent 495 million of its 501 million appropriation and spending about 657 million in 2024-25. Again, 12.2 million is realigned, meaning inability to spend this money as requested, as approved, as authorized for 2025-26 financial year. And the department makes itself a referee and a player to reallocate itself this money using this realignment provision to the next financial year, making the budgeting process and timelines a mockery in the practice of public financing and budgeting. We are further worried that this realignment has happened across all 7 programs of this department to realign 10.6 million of its 128.9 million to next financial year, with Program 5, Economic Planning, showing a failure to implement about 10 projects to the value of 8.1 million, and now moving such to next year. What is the opportunity lost and the cost of not implementing these projects? A miagre of 300,000 was allocated to what is referred as Township Action Plan, which even itself is being moved to next year. This department can't even deliver a mere 300,000 action plan in 12 months that they, on their own accord, committed to. This must be shameful and an insult to township enterprises that sit lingering to ever receiving any dedicated support from this department as part of its growth for jobs. Surely redress agenda to create an inclusive provincial economy that equitably distribute the wealth created in this province is no agenda of this department. Townships are only okay to provide DA votes to govern and wait for individual boutique projects to pacify them here and there with no distinct and deliberate strategy, let alone budget to unlock the economic potential of these township spaces. Indeed, as the MEC Bartman confessed, a budget is the most honest expression of a government's intent. It strips away the rhetoric and lays bare our priorities. The DA economic policy is laid bare that townships and informal sector in general is not part of its economic agenda, and thus driving an exclusive economy and inequality to keep the white enclave and apartheid economic structure alive is what is their agenda. Allow me, as I conclude, Chair, to say what happened to if you do not use the money, you lose it. As Provincial Treasurer in Western Cape government is together an accomplice in covering up underspending and deliberate in keeping the structural dualism as a legacy and ushered by their forefathers to keep Black people out of the mainstream economy. On this basis and in line with Rule 90, we reject this budget vote.
Thank you, Honorable Unkondlo. I recognize the Honorable Constable.
Yes, we will support. Yes. Deputy Speaker, today we critically analyze this adjustment budget. But Speaker, let me welcome the 5.4 million by the bank SETA and also the 59,000 rand from the Transport, Education and Training Authority. We all know and understand the importance of education and training. Therefore, we urge the department to do right by every citizen in the Western Cape and make sure that every cent being spent in the entire province. But Speaker, let me come back to the COE thing. Speaker, Deputy Speaker, more than 16 million of the COE funds has been realigned throughout all programs. Just yesterday, we received a report from this department showing how understaffed this department is. Why is it then that we can take money away and not prioritize the appointment of staff in this department? Because this department, as well as the agriculture department, is driving your growth to job strategy. So why are we using consultants and not employing our own staff? That's a very important question. But let me repeat the suggestion: equitable development. A greater portion of funds must be allocated to initiatives directly impacting marginalized communities. Reduce consultant dependency. Establish internal capacity building programs within this department. Engage local universities and organizations to fulfill research and strategic planning needs. Transparent impact metrics. Every realignment and variant must be accompanied by clear, measurable outcomes that prioritize community impact.
Kindly conclude.
Speaker, let me conclude by saying the Patriotic Alliance support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Constable. I recognize the Honorable Kasim.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I find it quite shocking that there's a proposal that the budget for the Department of Economic Opportunities and Tourism be decreased by almost 23.2 million in these adjusted budget estimates. This is the same department that fails to create meaningful employment opportunities for our people in the province and youth with decent salaries that will reduce many years of poverty and suffering. Deputy Speaker, we cannot be told that the province is creating many employment opportunities, but when one looks at the quality of those jobs, then one will find that it's mostly call center jobs paying low salaries or even worse, internships. We need a provincial government that will empower our people meaningfully and not only by assisting them to get decent work opportunities, but by also assisting them to venture into business and grow. Deputy Speaker, the province needs a fully functioning township economy that is growing and assisted by the provincial government. Our people in townships do possess the qualities and skills of being successful business people and run prosperous businesses. They just need an interventionist provincial government that will assist them acquiring capital as well as the necessary training. But in conclusion, Deputy Speaker, the EFF does not support and rejects the budget vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kasim. I recognize the Honorable Brunkhuis.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, tourism is a key economic sector and a significant contributor of economic growth and job creation. Al Jamaa calls on the province to elevate the profile of tourism by supporting efforts to grow the sector and for the previously disadvantaged communities to benefit from the sector's impact on the local economy. For many previously disadvantaged people in the tourism sector, they are experiencing a slow pace of transformation for inclusive growth of economic development and tourism in the Western Cape. Black tourist industry continue to face many challenges such as limited access to support programs, lack of awareness, lack of local government intervention, increasing crime rate in areas they are operating from townships on the Cape Flats. They continue to be sidelined from the mainstream tourism industry, lack of skills training. Al Jamaa calls on the province to fulfill its role as a provincial government in giving support
Kindly
to the
conclude,
development.
member.
I'm concluding, Speaker, of black-owned small tourism and local businesses. Spend the budget where it's most needed. Al Jamaa doesn't support this budget, Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honorable Brunkhuis. I recognize Honorable Masipa.
Honorable Deputy Speaker, South Africa is facing ANC-engineered economic crisis characterized by slow growth, rising unemployment, and declining wages. The very vote we are discussing today centers on addressing our path out of their mess. Yet it seems we are not all singing from same hymn book, for there are two distinct stories unfolding in our nation. One story is unfolding across all provinces, whilst the other story is unfolding here in the Western Cape. Future is made here. Honorable Speaker, the ANC has no interest in advancing this country's economic recovery. When it comes to securing trade deals and partnerships, they have failed. When it comes to reducing unemployment, Honorable Speaker, they have failed. When it comes to reducing unemployment, they have failed. And when it comes to attracting investment, they have failed, Honorable Speaker. Yet, here in the Western Cape, we are engaging diplomats and opening doors for our exports. When it comes to creating jobs, we outperform every other province. When it comes to investment, we are attracting it. The question is, who is serious about addressing this crisis? Clearly not the ANC. Honorable Speaker, turning to the specifics of the adjustment budget for vote 12, we are debating a realignment of nearly 28.1 million and not a cut of budget vote. The committee supports the Department of Economic Development and Tourism's bold decision to shift resources to fully power the growth for jobs strategy. The committee therefore welcomes the more than 5 million injections from Bank Sita and TETA, which significantly strengthens Program 7, Skills Development and Innovation. This additional funding translates into tangible outcomes. Learners are onboarded early, stipends are paid with greater urgency, and our skills capacity is expanded at a rate the national government can only dream of. Honorable Speaker, this alignment of 28.7 million is a clear statement of intent where every rand is directed towards high impact areas. We see 4.8 million realigned for administration and 4.1 million rands directed towards trade and sector development. Perhaps most exciting is the 8.2 million allocated to the economic planning, funding critical projects such as economic IQ, sector intelligence, and the development of our tech ecosystem, including the cutting-edge drones sandbox initiative. Furthermore, the tourism, arts, and entertainment sector receives 2.32 million rands boost, ensuring that this shining light of our economy continues to burn brightly. Honorable Speaker, the results of the Western Cape government is undeniable. The Western Cape Investment Summit has proven that investor confidence in this province remains robust. Through the government partnership with the private sector, Western Cape has slashed unemployment to 19.7%, the lowest figure in South Africa. In the realm of investment and trade, Westgro has tirelessly been working to open new markets in India and China, while the Cape Trade Portal continue to seamlessly connect local exporters and international buyers. Early this year, I had the privilege of attending the 2025 Made in Cape event, which was oversubscribed by global buyers eager to connect to our local exporters' businesses. It is a point of immense pride that Western Cape farmers are now responsible for exporting over 55% of their produce. Honorable Deputy Speaker, our tourism sector continues to break records. Westgro's hosting of Africa's Travel Indaba 2025 placed our province offerings on the global stage, while the Cape Town Air Access has secured major wins, including the announcement of LATAM's direct service from Sao Paulo starting in September 2026, the first South American carrier to operate direct flights to Cape Town. Cruise tourism is equally buoyant, with the port experiencing a significant surge in activities. We have seen a record-breaking season in 2024-2025, valued at 1.79 billion rands. As a committee, we visited the port to witness firsthand the immense value this business brings and opportunities it creates for young people. Through the collective efforts of industry and government, early reports from 2025 indicate a further 10% increase in international visitors. Honorable Speaker, perhaps the most significant indicator of our economic trajectory is the confirmation that the 8 billion Cape Winelands Airport project is set to resume. It is projected that this massive infrastructure will create approximately 30,000 jobs. I must also highlight that the Western Cape government, through Minister Anton Bradell, has already granted the necessary environmental authorization. By 2028, this airport will boast a 3,500-meter runway capable of handling aircraft as large as the Airbus A380, further cementing our status as the best province. In other provinces, the political elite dress themselves in Gucci like a skin parody of top billing. They support designer imports whilst letting our people go poor and hungry. Yet, in stark contrast, our premier and the first lady of the province chose to participate in the Kailicha fashion show. They purchased their attire from Gogo clothing designer proudly based in Cape Town, demonstrating a genuine commitment to supporting local designers and the township economy. I wish to salute Minister Ivan Meyer for his exceptional leadership during a year of global turbulence. From the uncertainty surrounding AGOA to challenges of multiple budget cycles, his department has transformed potential crisis into stability and progress. To the minister and every official in the department and all entities under his portfolio, congratulations. In the face of rigorous oversight and searching questions from this House, you have achieved something remarkable. Honorable Speaker, the DA support this vote. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Masipa. I now recognize the Honorable Minister.
Honorable Speaker.
Order, members. Honorable Minister, you may continue.
Honorable Speaker, this adjustment budget, I put it before this Parliament to adopt, but I want to thank the Premier because under his government, this budget is on track. I want to thank the Leader of Government Business and the Minister of Infrastructure because my budget is on track because he has made provision for 30 billion rand for infrastructure for this next 3 years. I want to thank the Honourable Minister of Local Government because my budget is on track. We had a municipal economic summit and they've committed themselves to implement the economic strategy. I want to thank the Honourable Minister Mare because in terms of the medium-term budget policy statement, I cannot grow the economy unless people are safe. One of my targets is to triple tourism, and under her leadership, she makes sure that our tourists are safe on the main hotspot areas in particular. I want to thank the Minister of Education. You cannot grow the economy unless you have a pipeline of educational people. You have spoken about higher quality people getting into the jobs. That's exactly what he does, preparing a platform. The biggest investment that this government has made in the last 4 years was the Rapid Schools program to rapidly get people into the school system and so that we can have a pipeline of educated people that can deliver my budget through the MTBBS. But I equally want to thank the Minister of Health because she has one of the biggest budgets. You cannot grow the economy if people are sick. And so my budget is on track because he makes sure that people are healthy. I want to thank the Minister of Mobility. If you want to grow the economy, you need a mobility track line. I want to thank him because all the global economies around the world, you have an excellent transport, efficient management system. And that system is now backed by reducing 50% over the next 10 years, the gravel road backlog. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Minister Isaac. Now he is one minister that will work this whole Christmas season because he is now looking after the tourists and he make road safety his priority. My budget, my adjustment is on track. And I want to thank Isaac because that is what he's doing. I want to thank the Minister of Cultural Affairs and Sport because he is indicated that he use events to drive economic growth. My budget is on track. I want to thank Minister Lond because he has now shown, unlike what is happening in Gauteng, my budget is on track because he makes sure that people, the NGOs, get the money 3 months or 6 months before the time. The budget is on track. The economy is growing. I want to thank all my colleagues because they make sure that economic growth is the center stage of this budget. And I see the honorable members not in agreement, and I thank them for their support.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, that concludes the debate on that vote. The Secretary will read the fifth order of the day.
Debate on vote for Police Oversight and Community Safety, Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Minister, Minister Maree.
It is an honor to present the 2025-26 adjustment budget for Vote for Police Oversight and Community Safety. Today's budget is more than a set of numbers. It is a statement of intent, a reflection of our commitment, and a reaffirmation of our duty to build safer communities for every person who calls this province home. Honourable Speaker, we meet at a time when the Western Cape, particularly the city of Cape Town, continues to face severe and deeply entrenched challenges of crime and violence. Our province has, for generations, lived with the devastating impact of gangsterism. This is not a new phenomenon. Gangsterism in the Western Cape has roots that run deep, woven into the social, economic, and historical fabric of our communities. Its legacy continues to shape the daily realities of our residents. For decades, gangs have operated not on the periphery of society, but inside it, on our streets, in our schools, and within the social fiber of the very communities we strive to uplift. The result has been cycles of violence, trauma, and instability that affect families, young people, and whole neighborhoods. And while gangsterism has evolved over time, so too has the determination of the Western Cape government to confront it head-on. As Franklin D. Roosevelt said, no man can tame a tiger into a kitten by stroking it. Crime, particularly violent crime, remains one of the most urgent issues affecting our society. We have seen high levels of gang-related shootings, killings, extortion, and organized criminal activity, especially on the Cape Flats. But I stand here today not only to acknowledge these painful realities, but to report on the real and measurable progress we are making through deliberate and targeted interventions. Over the years, the Western Cape government has invested extensively in violence reduction and evidence-driven policing support. As you all know, a flagship of this effort is the Law Enforcement Advancement Plan, known as LEAP, which has fundamentally changed the safety landscape of our province. Leaving no doubt, LEAP is working. Through the significant financial commitment of this government, we have placed approximately 1,200 additional boots on the ground, strategically deployed in the areas most affected by murder and violent crime. LEAP officers have become an essential force multiplier to the South African Police Service, strengthening visibility, supporting investigations, and interrupting the patterns of violence that have long plagued our communities. Since its inception, LEAP has arrested 46,703 individuals and confiscated 871 illegal firearms. Honourable Speaker, let me repeat this statement in this House as I did on many previous platforms because it cuts to the heart of our safety mission. Every illegal firearm taken off our streets is a potential life saved. These are sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, people who are alive today because those guns were removed. And the numbers tell a clear and compelling story. And Premier also touched on this. In Q1 of 2025-26, while the overall murder rate in the Western Cape increased by 0.9%, Murders in the combined LEAP deployment areas decreased by 7.1%. In the free reaction unit areas, there was a combined reduction of 14.3% in Q1. In Q2 of 2025-26, the province experienced a devastating 9.1% increase in the overall murder rate. Yet in the combined LEAP deployment areas, murders decreased by 9.4%. In the free reaction unit areas, the reduction was an even more significant 17.9%. Honourable Speaker, these results are not abstract. They are real, tangible proof that LEAP works. Furthermore, LEAP forms an integral part of the data-led and evidence-based hotspot policing project targeting high-crime precincts. The results speak for themselves. Crime in these hotspot areas has shown notable reductions, leading to the expansion of the project into even more precincts. But while we recognize the success of these interventions, we also acknowledge that enforcement alone is not enough. This government is not tone deaf. We listen and we observe. We adjust our approach when the circumstances demand it. That is why we embarked on a journey to revise and strengthen the Western Cape Safety Plan, resulting in the development of the Western Cape Safety Plan 2.0. The new safety plan places greater emphasis on whole of government and whole of society interventions. We know that sustainable safety is created when policing, social development, education, health, infrastructure, economic opportunity, and community ownership all pull in the same direction. A key initiative in this revised safety plan is the development of community-level growth and the resilience plans. Honourable Speaker, this is a bold and necessary step because safety is experienced locally. It begins on one's street, in one's neighbourhood, and in one's community. In May 2024, the idea was tabled within the department, but after a steep rise in gang-related shootings and killings in Mitchell's Plain, in early July 2025, we moved from concept to action. The Western Cape Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety immediately began intensive engagements with the community of the Greater Mitchells Plain, including residents, the Community Police Forum, neighbourhood watches, NGOs, religious leaders, and business stakeholders. Together, we drafted the Mitchell Plain Safety and Development Program. This program provides a coordinated, data-driven, area-based platform to implement the Western Cape Safety Plan, reduce duplication, and ensure optimal allocation of resources. Its aim is simple: strengthen violence prevention efforts, enhance safety and social cohesion, create pathways to employment, and empower communities to co-own solutions that improve their quality of life. Speaker, I therefore welcome the additional appropriation of 9 million to Program Free to support the rollout of this initiative. This pilot is in an advanced planning stage. Some interventions will commence within the coming weeks, while the full rollout will begin from January 2026. I wish to express my deep appreciation to the acting head of the department, the entire POX team, our sister departments in the Western Cape Government, especially the departments of Health and Wellness, Social Development, Education and Economic Opportunities, the South African Police Service, as well as the City of Cape Town. Many of the engagements with the Mitchells Plain community took place after hours, late into the night, and sometimes on weekends. Your dedication, sacrifice, and commitment to the people we serve does not go unnoticed. Speaker, after the Mitchells Plain Safety and Development Program is up and running, we will replicate this in other communities. Honourable Speaker, our staff remain the heartbeat of our department. I therefore welcome the additional appropriation of 10.7 million to Program 1, which will allocate 7.1 million to facilitate the relocation of staff from 35 Wales Street to Lower Long Street, ensuring that our employees operate in a healthy, clean, secure working environment. Transfer 1.2 million to the Department of the Premier to support the development of safety-related software systems. A 2.1 million rollover in Program 4 for the 24-25 financial year has been reinstated to fulfill our commitment to upgrading the closed-circuit television systems responsible for safeguarding Western Cape government buildings. This investment is essential to ensure that government infrastructure, the people who work within it, and our citizens visiting our service points remain safe and protected. These adjustments reaffirm our vision, a safer Western Cape where every resident, regardless of where they live, can walk freely, raise their children confidently, and pursue opportunities without fear. In conclusion, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to the acting HOD and every staff member in the Western Cape Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety for your resilience and commitment. Our safety partners, the South African Police Service, municipal law enforcement agencies, including the Cape Town Metro Police, Chrysalis Academy, the Western Cape Liquor Authority, the Western Cape Police Ombudsman, the business community, neighborhood watchers, CPFs, civil society organizations, and all community structures whose partnership is invaluable. And to every community member stepping forward to play an active role in improving safety. We see you. Your courage, your vigilance, and your dedication form the backbone of our collective efforts. I thank you.
Baie dankie aan die agbare minister. I now recognize the Honourable Genso.
Speaker, honorable members, whilst MEC Marez also wittingly or unwittingly uses LIP officers to enter into a beauty contest between subs and LIP, but her posture and attitude is completely different from that of the Premier. Speaker, this budget adjustment comes just days after the release of the National Crime Stats by Acting Minister of Police. The crime stats for Q1, Q2 of the current financial year confirm what communities have long known, that the Western Cape remains a major contributor to the national burden of violent crime, especially content crimes such as murder, attempted murder and assault. As a result, crime here in the Western Cape, and in Cape Town in particular, has reached a crisis point. The crime stats report shows that Western Cape continue to record a murder rate significantly above the national average, fueled by gang violence, organized crime networks, and deep socio-economic marginalization, Premier. Despite Premier Alan Winder's denialism, empty rhetoric, and insignificant claims of reduction in percentage form in his budget adjustment this afternoon, Cape Town alone hosts several of the most dangerous policing precincts in Cape Town in the country, and they include Mfuleni, Delft, Nyanga, Guguletu, Mitchells Plain, Kraaifontein, and Cape Town Central, consistently rank among the highest for murder and other conduct crimes. In these communities, the sound of gunfire has become as common as birdsong, a tragic reminder that violence is not an aberration but a daily reality. For instance, of the more than 700 murders recorded in this province, illegal firearms were used as a weapon of choice. Though not surprising, given the DA's anti-poor and divide the rule philosophy, it remains deeply unfortunate that this budget adjustment is not rooted in the realities of our communities. At a time when violent crime is escalating in multiple townships, one would expect a focused province-wide response. Instead, this government has elected to use adjustment to boost its electoral 2026 government election prospects, particularly in Mitchells Plain, given DA's waning support base through the so-called Mitchells Plain Safety Development Program, to which nearly 9 million has been allocated. This is nothing more than an attempt to pull wool over the eyes of the people of Mitchells Plain and of this province. If this 9 million, we suggest, MEC, that if this 9 million is allocation was genuine intended to address violent crime, we are saying this program should be Cape Town Violent Crime Hotspot Safety Development Program to target not only Mitchells Plain, but Mfuleni, Khayelitsha, Manningburg, Kraaifontein, Hanover Park, to mention but a few. The DA's inability to prioritize the lives of Black people is further demonstrated by the continuous shifting of funds to the Premier's office. In 2024 Premier adjustment budget, 1.1 million was shifted for the so-called safety software system. This year, another 1.2 has been shifted What is the purpose of this? Yet, we don't see any concrete results, no outcomes, no evidence or meaningful impact. We also note the 2.1 million rollover for security cameras and CCTV upgrades. Yet, such cameras have not aided any successful investigation in black working class township. There is evidence. This government cannot celebrate new allocations while refusing to repair the broken and ineffective CCTV cameras. Speaker, without a clear plan indicating where new cameras will be installed, which existing cameras will be restored, and how maintenance will be ensured, this becomes yet example of the DA's choosing appearance over really safety of our people. We therefore demand that this funding be reinforced and redirected specifically to fix cameras in areas most affected by violent crime. Speaker, the people of the Western Cape, especially black working class communities, bear the greatest burden of violent crime, deserve a government that responds to their daily realities. We need a province that prioritizes people's safety over party interest, community development over unproven software projects, and cooperative governance over collapsing fragmented safety partnership. Speaker, given the attitude of the Premier and his budget vote, this budget adjustment fails all these tests. The people of Nyanga, Deft, Khayelitsha, and many other areas are not pleading for clarity, for charity. They are demanding justice, safety, and dignity. It is now evident that neither this provincial government, nor the city of Cape Town, nor the South African Police Service has coherent, systematic plan to combat violent crime in hotspot communities. Against this background, we therefore reiterate our call for violent crime to be declared a disaster so that an extraordinary coordinated response can finally be mobilized. In the final analysis, we reject this budget adjustment, not out of political expedience, but because it fails our people, and also it pays lip service to organs of people's power, CPFs, and neighborhood watches. Also, it fails in its basic obligation to protect the lives of the majority, black people of this province, who are victims of deep crisis of neoliberalism, a developmental stage of capitalism. This budget is not in the best interest of our people, unless it is redirected and that all areas that are hotspots are made a priority, and that all the adjustment seeks to address that. Unless Premier and the MEC attend to that, then at least that will help in mitigating guns in this province. Guns
Honourable Member, your time has expired.
We are in an autopilot.
Thank you very much,
We are
Honourable Member.
leaderless. We
Thank
have
you
no
very
premier.
much. Honourable members, when I call you to order and I tell you your time is up, then it is finished. It is part of the parliamentary rules and procedures. There is a digital clock on the screen, so there's no reason for you not to adhere to the call when your time is expired. I now recognize the Honourable Stevens.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The Patriotic Alliance cannot support Budget Vote 4 on police and safety for 2025-2026. This budget does not reflect the urgent realities facing our communities. High crime areas like Kraaifontein continue to be overlooked, receiving almost no meaningful support. Week after week, families live in fear, yet this government still looks away. There are still no law enforcement or LEAP officers deployed in Kraaifontein as promised. Communities such as Santa Cruz, Malmesbury, Woolsley, Abbotsdale and Riverlands remain equally neglected, despite continuous calls for proper safety interventions. In Malmesbury, only 2 police vans must service a vast and growing area. Many communities still do not have even a mobile police station, and yet this budget allocates no funding for mobile units in Scottsville, Bloekombos or Wallisden, all of which face serious safety challenges. Honourable Speaker, resources must be directed to where they are most urgent needed. Our people cannot rely on a budget that fails to address the core realities of crime and safety in the Western Cape. Until this government presents a budget that truly responds to the lived experience of our communities, the Patriotic Alliance cannot support the budget. Our communities need real action, not another administrative exercise. Thank you very much.
Baie dankie aan die agbare lid. I now recognize Honourable Kasim.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, a budget increase of almost 17.2 million is not enough to solve the crisis we are experiencing in this province when it comes to crime. This budget increase is not only low, but is a budget increase without a purpose. This low increase will do nothing in reducing crime in this province, especially when this DA government does not know how to utilize it. This week, the HOD, during a committee meeting, told members that the department does not have the capacity to tackle more than one crime-infested community with its pilot projects. This after being asked why only Mitchell's Plan has been prioritized and lined up for a pilot project in this budget, while there are several other areas like Kayalicha and Kraaifontein, which also needs urgent intervention. Speaker, while it is appreciated that Mitchell's Plan will be getting their prioritization, especially with the increase in gang-related deaths, it is still unacceptable, though, that those entrusted to oversee the safety of all in this province cannot roll out the same pilot projects in other areas at the same time, as they don't have the capacity to do so. Speaker, since the safety plan was introduced in this province, we have not seen any positive results. It has become so easy for gangs to run our communities, throwing daily killing spree parties without being held accountable, because the space has been created for them to do so. But the actions can only mean a number of things, Speaker. Either the safety plan is a failure itself, those administering it do not know what they are doing, or something more is needed as opposed to over-reliance on budget increases without direction in order to deal with this crisis. Furthermore, while we need to emphasize tackling the root causes of crime, our neighborhood watchers are also in need of support and training. And the reality is that while there are also way too many townships without functioning neighborhood watchers, better coordination between the current existing neighborhood watches, crime prevention organizations, and those in law enforcement is also desperately desired. Speaker, in conclusion, the department need to conduct serious studies in this field of dealing with crime, especially when it comes to the eradication of drugs and gangsterism. With this being said, the EFF does not support this vote, as it does not as it
Thank you
is
very
not in the
much,
best
Honourable
interest
Member.
of
Your
our
time has
people.
expired. I recognise the Honourable Heron.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, we note the nearly 4 billion rand dedicated to the so-called safety policy priority. And we ask, is this simply a new name for the safety plan, or is it a meaningful shift in strategy? Because while the safety plan continues to consume this government's approach to everything, the reality on the ground tells a different story. Our murder rate is not decreasing. Week after week, weekend after weekend, communities endure multiple murders, and each loss is a reminder that our interventions are not meeting the scale of the crisis. The Western Cape carries a disproportionate burden. 91% of all gang-related murders in South Africa happen here. We remain the second highest province for the murder per capita, with a staggering 15.2 murders per 100,000 people. Speaker, the safety plan is not working by its own KPI. The minister knows what does work, but she's trapped by a project that is now all-consuming, as it is all failing. Investing in the socio-economic conditions prevalent in the areas that experience the scourge of violence. If the 3.9 billion were invested changing the living
Honourable
conditions in
Heron,
these
your time has
communities,
expired.
we will achieve more than the current boots on the ground.
Thank you very much, Honourable Heron. I recognise the Honourable Van Minnen.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, members of the House, distinguished colleagues and citizens of the Western Cape. I stand before you today to speak on a matter of urgent and undeniable importance, the safety of our people. We are gathered at a time when the very fabric of our communities is under siege, and it is only by examining the hard facts and the critical failures in our policing system that we can understand the depths of this crisis and find solutions. The time has come to acknowledge the glaring divide between the great work of the Western Cape Department of Police Oversight and Community Safety and the tragic failures of the South African Police Service to meet the constitutional duty of safeguarding the people of this province. Honourable Speaker, for years we have witnessed the devastating impact of gang violence, gender-based violence, and violent crime wreaking havoc in our communities. The statistics are chilling, but they are the faces of the mothers, the fathers, the children, and the neighbours whose lives are shattered by a system that seems indifferent to their suffering. Today I come to you not only with a recognition of these failures, but also with the solutions that have already shown promise. I come to speak of the Western Cape's Law Enforcement Advancement Programme, LEAP strategy, a beacon of hope amidst the dysfunction and delays we see at the SAP's national level. Honourable Speaker, despite the man whinging from naysayers, LEAP is a testament to the success of localized, data-driven and community-led policing. Since its inception in 2020, the Western Cape government has achieved remarkable results. In the high crime areas such as Delft, Guguletu, Khayelitsha, Mitchell's Plain, Nyanga, and Philippine East, we have seen progress. Murders have stabilized. The third quarter of 2025 alone saw a 13% decrease in murders, and the fourth quarter reflected a 10% decrease. Attempted murders have dropped by 3%. Furthermore, illegal firearm arrests, a critical tool in breaking the cycle of violence, have increased by 10% in LEAP priority areas, with more than 700 illegal firearms removed from the streets of our province. These numbers are lives saved and communities protected. Over 40,000 arrests have been made, reflecting the relentless determination of our officers to bring criminals to justice. It does, of course, remain to convict them, but that's another issue. Honourable Speaker, the city's law enforcement has worked tirelessly to restore order, having participated in over 90,000 crime prevention and bylaw enforcement operations. They have confiscated 41,000 units of drugs, removed 177 illegal firearms, and stopped more than 5,000 rounds of ammunition from being used in crime. In a world where each bullet represents a potential life lost, this work is invaluable. Yet despite these significant strides made by the Western Cape government, we find ourselves in a frustrating and tragic paradox. The South African Police Service, on the other hand, has continued to fail the people of its province. Despite immense resources at its disposal, SAPS continues to be ineffective in curbing the spiraling violence in many of our communities. Honourable Speaker, in just one quarter of 2025, SAPS recorded over 68,000 serious crimes in the Western Cape, including 1,160 murders, and shockingly, 710 of these murders were committed with firearms. This exposes the glaring failure of SAPS to control firearms, a key element in fighting crime. Worse still, it is the citizens of the Western Cape who are paying the price for this failure. Lives are lost, families are shattered, and communities are left to fend for themselves. The statistics from SAPS is a direct result of systematic inefficiency and blatant disregard for the safety of the people. Despite this, SAP's so-called Western Cape strategy on gangs and extortion is a presentation filled with empty promises, lacking any real substance. It's a strategy that focuses on 26 police stations, but fails to allocate adequate resources, personnel, or funding to the stations that are desperately in need of support. We also further cannot ignore the staggering failure of SAPS to uphold protection orders. Between 2020 and 2025, more than 40,000 charges were registered for violations of protection orders in the Western Cape. Yet only 6,486 convictions were secured, resulting in a disgraceful 13.6% conviction rate. This is a broken promise to survivors of gender-based violence, who were already vulnerable, seeking safety, but finding themselves left unprotected by the very institutions designed to shield them. Honourable Speaker.
Honourable van Minnen, please take your seat. Honourable Gainsborough, is that a point of order?
Yes, Chair.
What is your point of order?
The member continues to recycle previous speeches. Is that parliamentary?
That is not a point of order. Honourable van Minnen, please continue.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. It does not have to be this way. The DA-led Western Cape government has shown that when it is empowered to act, when it has the resources, the will and the local knowledge to tackle crime, it can deliver real results. This is why we must empower the Western Cape government with investigative powers that will allow the government to do even more. We need the ability to investigate, to act swiftly, and to hold those responsible for crime accountable in a way that is timely and effective. We cannot continue to wait for a national government that refuses to act with urgency. We cannot afford to be passive observers in this fight for justice. The Western Cape does not believe in some weird defund the police policy favoured by some in this House. Honourable Speaker, I urge the national government to stop standing in the way of real local solutions as illustrated in this budget. We cannot afford to wait for SAPS to find its way out of this crisis. We must act now. The Western Cape has proven it can deliver safer communities when empowered with the right tools, resources, and autonomy. It is time to ensure that our people, our families, our neighbours, and our children can live without fear, knowing their government will stand with them, not against them. I support the fullest vote for adjusted budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Van Minnen. I now recognise the Minister, Minister Maree.
Thank you, Speaker. Ek wil net die agbare lede herinner dat polisieering 'n nasionale bevoegdheid is en dat die Wes-Kaap regering alles in ons vermoë doen om die Suid-Afrikaanse polisie te ondersteun. And I invite Member Kasim to come and walk the streets with Leap and our neighborhood watches. In fact, I invite all the members to see what's really going on and what they're doing in the streets to keep the Western Cape safe. And it's not only in some of our areas, it's absolutely in all the areas in the Western Cape, even in our rural areas. So I invite you all to just come and see what's going on. Thank you to Chairperson, Honourable Indicta van Minnen, and the members of the Standing Committee for the robust oversight. To the Provincial Parliament staff, thank you. I see you and I know that you work hours and hours to keep everyone and all the logistics going, so thank you for that. And may you all have a safe and enjoyable festive season. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. Honourable members, that brings us to the end of the debate on that vote. And this, the Secretary will read the sixth order of the day.
Debate on Vote 5, Education, Western Cape Adjustment Appropriation Bill.
Thank you very much. I recognise the Honourable Minister of Education, Minister Mania.
Thank you, Speaker. Yesterday, schools closed for learners, bringing to an end the 2025 school year. Our teachers will also wrap up tomorrow for a well-deserved summer holiday. So I want to begin by thanking all our teachers for the work you have done this year to support our learners to achieve their goals. While it has been a tough year for our department and for our schools, we have seen some incredible highlights. The most rewarding of these is, of course, that we are making real progress on our key educational priorities. Our first and foremost education priority as a government is, of course, to improve learning outcomes. Our Back on Track program to reverse learning losses continues to go from strength to strength. The University of Stellenbosch found that learners participating in the Back on Track program have recovered up to 205 days worth of learning losses during the COVID-19 pandemic. The extra training for grade 4 and grade 7 teachers has been accredited by the South African Council for Educators. So the training counts towards participating teachers continuing professional development credit requirement. The program will continue next year and will include a focus on mathematics and physical science in grades 10 to 12. We have also announced several measures to be implemented from the start of the 2026 school year to improve early learning outcomes in the Western Cape. We are introducing baseline assessments of literacy and numeracy skills for all foundation phase learners at the beginning of the school year. These will be informal, integrated assessments implemented by teachers to identify gaps in learning early and to tailor our interventions to support learners. We have informed all schools that reading fluency benchmarks in the foundation phase will be implemented in the 2026 academic year. Benchmarks serve as clear, measurable goals that guide teaching, learning, and assessment throughout the school year. We have also launched the pilot phase of a structured numeracy intervention for teachers and learners in the foundation phase. Following the success of our early grade reading interventions for these grades. The numeracy program has been developed in partnership with Fundawande and with the support of their Barlow One Day program, and includes teacher training, teacher guides, learner books, and of course, maths resource kits to support the new teaching skills. As part of the pilot, all grade 1 teachers at 70 schools from across the province received training during the October 2025, and a full rollout to cover the full foundation phase will take place over the next 3 years. And we will be continuing our extra time allocation for mathematics and reading in the foundation phase. This measure was first introduced in 2022 and allocates an extra 2 hours per week to reading and 1 extra hour per week for mathematics from within the existing school day. A further key priority, of course, Speaker, for our government is expanding access to education for children in the Western Cape. Our Rapid School Build program is delivering new schools and classrooms across the province at a terrific pace. We have new schools under construction in Khayelitsha, in Lwandle, in Wallerstein, in Brackenfell, in Kales River, in Tagerhof, in Belhar, in Coniston Park, and in Malmesbury. We are adding additional classrooms to our new schools built through the program to complete their phases. These additional classrooms have been completed at our new schools in Wallerstein, Blue Downs, Lower Crossroads, Tafelsig, Lwandle, Kwanakutula, Fisher Haven, and Darling. Additional brick and mortar classrooms are also being added to well-established existing schools in Philippi, Lwandle, Villiersdorp, and Wellington, and have already been completed at schools in Parow and Tokai. 2 of our schools for special needs, Filia School in Goodwood and El Jada Kairos School in Oudtshoorn, have received additional classrooms this year. We are also working together with the Provincial Department of Infrastructure to construct and complete a new school of skills in Manenberg. The Edu Invest initiative, powered by Westgrow, is playing their part to drive greater private sector investment into education in our province and ultimately to see new independent schools opening in our province. They are especially targeting investments into no-fee or low-fee education to help expand the available school options for parents in the Western Cape. Finally, I want to highlight our decision to invest in school sport. You may already be aware that we will be introducing a new Western Cape school sport strategy spearheaded by the Department of Cultural Affairs and Sport. We have allocated funding to implement this strategy because sport plays such an invaluable role for our young people, instilling discipline, building their self-confidence, and offering an alternative to crime and gangsterism. And I certainly look forward to Minister Ricardo Mckenzie sharing more details of this plan as we go forward. We will, of course, Speaker, we will continue to face significant fiscal uncertainty over the medium term, which is why we have adjusted the budget by 521 million or 1.5% and realigned funding to improve our ability to deal with service delivery pressures over the medium term. Speaker, as of the 5th of December 2025, we have found places for 178,773 or 95.7% of the learners for whom applications were received for grade R, grade 1 and grade 8 for the 2026 school year. Placement is in progress for 7,967 or 4.3% of grade R, grade 1 and grade 8 learners, which is a lower number than this time last year. We were, in fact, in a substantially better position up until mid-November, having found places for learners faster this year. However, in the second half of November, we received new applications for over 3,500 grade R, grade 1, and grade 8 learners. These are new applications arriving more than 7 months after the on-time application window has been completed. We will, of course, continue working to place these learners and the extremely late applications we receive from the 1st of January 2026 as quickly as possible. The 10th day SNAP survey will help us to allocate additional classrooms and teachers in the areas of greatest demand. One challenge we are facing is parents not answering when we have a place to offer their child. So we do appeal to parents whose contact details have changed to let us know this as soon as possible. Very importantly, if there are any parents who have not applied, please do so immediately, and we will leave no stone unturned to find a place for every learner. In conclusion, Speaker, it is clear that despite the overwhelming pressures on our department and on our schools, we are making progress. When it seems like so many things are going wrong in education, I think it's worth remembering what is going right in education. We have the largest learning recovery program in our country. We are building schools faster than any other province. We provide high quality training to our teachers, and we are exploring innovative school models and working proactively with the private sector. And we are focusing on key priorities that will make a real difference to learning outcomes in our province. We need to invest, in the end, in quality education to drive economic growth and to create jobs so that our children have a better future. So together, we will deliver quality education for every learner in every classroom, in every school here in the Western Cape. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honourable Minister. I now recognise the Honourable Syed.
Honourable Speaker, education activists that are listening online and in the public gallery, let me firstly start by acknowledging some of the input of the Minister of the MEC. There has indeed been progress made. There have been positive strides. So when today we debate Budget 5, we are critical. We start off by acknowledging the progress that has been made and also thanking officials in that regard. But we debate this particular budget vote in a province whose education system, sadly, is under siege. Yet instead of rising to this moment, MEC Mania presents a budget that cuts 520.922 million rand from its allocation. Speaker, this is not an adjustment. It is a retreat from responsibility, a failure to protect the rights of learners, and a betrayal of teachers and communities. Just days ago, the Western Cape High Court ordered the Western Cape Education Department to overhaul its admission system and to deliver a rights-aligned admissions management plan, set clear timelines, appoint designated officials, establish systems to support parents without documentation, conduct public consultations, work directly with Equal Education and the Law Clinic, and plan effectively for high demand hotspot areas. Yet under this budget, 166.654 million rand has been cut from the compensation of employees. 270 million rand has been cut from infrastructure, no funding exists for public consultations or stakeholder engagements. Speaker, the court's order cannot be met under the current budget. It is a budget that actively undermines compliance, and we raised this in the Standing Committee. Every year, the same scenes repeat themselves at the start of the academic year. Parents queuing overnight, learners turned away, families left stranded, and year after year, our MEC blames parents, migrations, or SGBs, never the department's own systemic failures. The budget entrenches rather than fixes the annual crisis. Even when our religious organizations, such as the Muslim Judicial Council, have come forward and offered to build fully funded schools and seek to purchase land for these purposes to alleviate the unplaced learner crisis, they are given the runaround by this department. Violence in schools continues unabated. Learners are stabbed, teachers assaulted, gang conflict enters classrooms, and now we have a horrific situation at Ridgeville Primary School in Mitchell's Plain, highlighted by allegations sent to the MEC's office of misuse of grade R funds with no accountability or resources purchased, irregular and hidden tuck shop funds, suggesting deliberate underspending and concealment of revenue, corporal punishment, and racially targeted violence, including physical assault causing visible injury, gender-based violence towards girl learners, abuse of authority in leave approvals, resulting in teachers not receiving full salaries and financial hardship. Speaker, these issues constitute an emergency of the highest order. Learners are not safe, teachers are not protected, and yet the MEC continues to ignore accountability. How can education thrive when certain principals act with impunity and the department fails to intervene? At the same time, MEC Mania's department has cut compensation of employees by 166.654 million, reducing the number of available teaching posts. This exacerbates overcrowding, worsens admissions crisis, and leaves learners without access to qualified educators. It signals a clear misalignment between budget priorities and constitutional obligations. The much touted Back on Track program was meant to close learning gaps, but it has failed due to poor implementation, low attendance, inconsistent tutoring, minimal monitoring, and zero measurable literacy or numeracy improvements. Speaker, the MEC continues to ignore that Herzliya High School serves as a recruitment center for the criminal Israeli Defense Force. Parents expect safe, nation-building learning environments. This government's silence on militarized recruitment is deeply concerning. Silence is not neutrality, it's complicity. And yes, I can be taken on by Sajbot, I don't care. We also face a situation where a teacher at Oval North School has made distasteful and hateful, misinformed comments about the plight of the Palestinian people, which went viral on social media. No disciplinary action to date, yet the department is aware of it. Letters have gone through, they've done absolutely nothing. Speaker, this budget is not a plan to fix education. It is a plan to let crisis deepen. This is not a budget vote for education. It is a budget vote for failure. The ANC therefore
Honourable
rejects the
Stein,
budget. Thank you.
your time has expired. Thank you very much. Order. I now recognize the Honourable Stevens.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The Patriotic Alliance supports Budget Vote 5 for education for 2025-2026. Our children urgently need these resources, but we are concerned about misallocated funds in systematic issues that leave vulnerable learners behind. Schools like Scottsville Primary, along with quite a few others spread across the Western Cape, are classified as Quintile 5, yet they serve disadvantaged communities that should be Quintile 1, 2, or 3. This misclassification denies them the funding they desperately need and must be corrected. The department also needs to review how children are placed into schools. Many are assigned based on how they apply, not where they live. Children from areas like Scottsdene and Craven are sent more than 50 kilometers away from home. Meanwhile, local children are turned away from nearby schools because they are full, forcing families to pay for taxis or buses to distant schools. This is inefficient, unsafe, and unfair. In areas such as Hanklip Kleinmond, there is no high school, and children are forced to travel more than 50 kilometers to the nearest high school in Austin. Due to the lack of funding and transport, most of these children do not attend school at all. The Patriotic Alliance calls on the department to correct quintile classifications, review school placement policies, and allocate funds based on actual need. Education must be equitable, safe, and focused on the children who need it most. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Stevens. I recognize Honourable Kasim.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, it is shocking that we are presented with a budget reduction from the Education Department when the budget should be increasing and used to build more classrooms in order to increase space and hire more teachers as learners' numbers continue to increase in the province. It is not a secret that the Western Cape's learner placement system is a disaster which continues to fail our communities, more so from townships where majority of African and coloured children live. In the recent judgment of the Western Cape High Court in Equal Education versus the Western Cape Education Department, the court found that the Western Cape education admission policy is discriminatory on the basis of race, poverty level, place of birth, and social origin. Something that we have been saying as the EFF in almost every debate when it comes to education. Because reality is, Speaker, once again, you will never see a late white applicant being placed or recommended to go to a township school. However, an early Black or African or coloured applicant who lives in the community will be placed in a very remote school, which was not their first choice, second or third preference, despite applying early. So yes, the Western Cape learner placement system in this province is very much racist and should be revised. This budget reduction is an insult, especially to the many African and coloured learners across the province who are still waiting on placement, and those who were forced to drop out of schools because of being placed outside of their communities, travelling almost more than an hour every morning in order to get an education. As the Western Cape Education Department continue to fail our kids by playing around with their education, violence, gang recruitment, selling of drugs, racism, and bullying, amongst others, also continue to play out on school premises because there's also no proper intervention programs to deal with all of what society is faced with, and the root causes of these actions are not dealt with. In conclusion, Speaker, the EFF therefore cannot support and rejects this budget vote.
Thank you very much. I recognize Honourable Michaels.
Speaker, dankie. Ons provinsie is geseën met kulture, geskiedenis en 'n gees wat eeue se uitdagings deurstaan het. Tog hang daar 'n skaduwee oor ons skole, die skaduwee van onbetaalde skoolgelde wat ons skuldige kinders affekteer. Elke jaar vra ons gesinne om kwytskelding. 'n Kwytskelding wat 'n reg moet wees, nie 'n voorreg nie. Ons vra ouers om vorms in te vul wat baie nie kan lees nie, in lang rye staan in die brandende son. Dit is 'n las wat nooit op die skouers van 'n kind geplaas moet word nie. En wat gebeur wanneer die papierwerk vertraag word, wanneer die kwytskelding nie toegestaan word nie? Skole hou in hul poging om skoolgelde in te vorder die rekord wat 'n kind nodig het om vooruit te gaan. 'n Kind wat elke klas bywoon, 'n kind wat elke vraag beantwoord het, wat 'n droom het om 'n dokter te word, 'n onderwyser of 'n ingenieur, word skielik belemmer deur 'n finansiële transaksie wat nie hul verantwoordelikheid is nie.
Agbare Michaels, u tyd is verstreke.
As die NCC
Honourable
vra
Michaels,
ons
please
dat
take
hierdie
your seat.
kwytskelding
Honourable Michaels, please take your seat. Honourable members, this has been happening throughout the day, where your time has expired and you continue to make your contributions. These times are proportionally allocated based on representation in the House and has been agreed to at the beginning of this term of office. Honourable members, it's not randomly allocated, it's proportionally allocated based on the votes that you received in the previous election and the seats that you occupy in the chamber. Order, members. So can I please ask that you please adhere to the time allocation? It is on the screen for a particular reason. And I trust that tomorrow we will do better. I now recognize the Honourable Christians.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the ACDP support vote 5, and we are very encouraged with the improving learner outcomes, especially when it comes to numeracy and literacy, and also very encouraged with the training of teachers. ACDP is concerned about the reduction in compensation of employees and also the reduction of infrastructure. But Speaker, let me just also say, we are very disappointed in Honorable Syed, the leader of the ANC, that continuously mislead this House by talking about Hersler High School as a recruitment for soldiers for Israel. He must stop doing that. It's not good. Hersler is a role model when it comes to education, and they've got 100% pass rate.
Honourable
So you must stop
Christians,
misleading the House.
Honourable
Thank you very
Christians,
much.
your time has expired, but there is a point of order in the chamber, I would imagine. Honourable Syed, is that a point of order?
Yes, Honourable Speaker. I was not going to waste my time with the ACDP, but I thought maybe
what is
just
the
on a point of order,
what
the Honourable Christians in his defense of Israel as usual is he's casting an aspersion. He's saying I'm misleading the House. He must bring a substantive motion on that matter, please.
Thank you very much, Honourable Syed. Honourable members, if you refer to a member misleading, that is not unparliamentary. Deliberately misleading is the unparliamentary part, and Honourable Christians did not refer to your input as deliberately misleading, so that is not a point of order. That brings us to the next speaker, an Honourable Herald.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, the education budget has been cut by 736 million. This is a direct contradiction to the Finance Minister's claim that no departments are facing cuts. And these are cuts in this financial year, and shockingly, at least 166 million of this is to the cost of employment in public ordinary schools budget. This is after we cut 2,000 teacher posts commencing this year. Now we are realigning 166 million by reducing the budget for salaries in this year. Did we cut too many educator posts? Or how can we cut 166 million rand in cost of employment in year and claim that our 2025 educator cuts were necessary and well managed? The net reduction to the education budget is 520 million rand, but this is only after 736 million is reduced from this year's budget, and then we add in 232 million rand in an ECD grant received in the year. The Education Department Speaker
Honourable
is in
Herring, your time
crisis.
has expired. Thank you very much. I recognize Honourable Johnson.
Honourable Speaker, Premier, Ministers, members, people in the gallery and people of the Western Cape. It is a fact that a growing economy needs a thriving education system, and it is also a fact that a thriving education system requires sustained investment, skilled teachers, safe schools and accountable governance that puts learners first. And in this province, under the leadership of the DA, our greatest investment is our children. And today I rise to support a budget that understands a simple truth. A growing economy needs a thriving education system. Honourable Speaker, while the national picture is one of stagnation, the Western Cape is not waiting, and we are scaling for growth. And that starts in our classrooms. We are scaling for growth. And we need to respond to our ever-increasing population by building and expanding schools at pace. In the 2024-25 financial year alone, the DA-led Western Cape has built 6 new schools and delivered 504 new classrooms ahead of schedule. That's 100 more seats for our children. To scale for growth, it means that we need to equip our children for the future. And in the Western Cape, we are doing just that. We have launched career clubs in 133 schools. We have 2,765 grade 12 learners enrolled in technical subjects. And we are building a pipeline of skills for our growing economy. These are just a few of many programs and interventions that ensure that the DA-led Western Cape scales for growth. However, Honourable Speaker, we cannot scale for growth without the resources to match. And that is why this adjustment budget makes critical, targeted investments. To highlight a few of these critical target investments, Honourable Speaker, firstly, for our youngest learners in early childhood development, we are adding 231 million. This funds is a vital subsidy increase and expands early learning access, ensuring a strong foundation. For our most vulnerable learners in special schools education, we are adding 7.6 million to better support their unique needs. In fact, Honourable Speaker, we make this investment because we believe that no child should be left behind. There's a narrative that's being pushed by the opposition that the DA-led Western Cape is cutting the education budget. However, Speaker, what the opposition is not communicating is that the late national budget has created a challenge. A significant 292 million from the national share intended to retain and appoint teachers arrived too late to spend effectively within this financial year. And Honourable Speaker, let me be unequivocal. The education budget has not been cut. We are realigning, not retreating. As such, we have made a prudent, responsible choice. Instead of rushing, we have provisionally allocated these funds to the 2026 main budget. This gives our education department the opportunity to properly recruit the best teachers, ensuring this money delivers maximum impact for our children. I will repeat this again and again, Honourable Speaker, because it's important that we debunk narratives driven by the opposition for political gain, especially about the best-run province in the country under the leadership of the DA, who has the best-run municipalities in the country. This too was admitted by the President of our country and the ANC, as well as the National Secretary General of the ANC. And the people of South Africa should listen to the ANC for once, because the ANC is giving clear direction for the first time in 30 years on who should be governing this country, and that is the DA. But getting back to my point, Honourable Speaker, the education budget is not being cut. The net adjustment of 520.9 million is made up of several technical shifts. 10.8 million, which is a rollover of previously committed funds, 232 million, which is an ECD grant received from national government, 6.7 million, which is a payment to the Department of the Premier for IT services, and it was a required transfer because the Department of the Premier is providing the services. 20.4 million, which was a transfer to DCAS for youth programs and the school sports strategy, which the Department of DCAS implements as part of their joint mandate with the WCED. And lastly, 736 million, which is a realignment over the MTEF, affecting cost of employers and infrastructure. The key point is this realignment is not a budget cut. It means you will see a minus in the 2025 adjustment budget and a corresponding plus in the 2026 budget as the MTEF shifts and carries through. In fact, next year the WCD will also receive an additional 292 million, which will be added to their baseline. So overall, the WCED's MTEF budget is increasing and not decreasing. On the other hand, Honourable Speaker, this budget is about more than infrastructure and posts. It is about the entire ecosystem of learning. It is about safety. We are increasing our school resource officers from 64 to 82, creating havens for learning and not fear. It is about resilience. We have installed solar power at 90 schools and efficient lighting at 110 more, so the lights stay on and learning continues. It is about dignity. Our sanitary dignity program ensures that no girl is left behind. It is about recovery. Our Back on Track program, the largest in the country, will reach every child who fell behind, ensuring they are literate, numerate, and ready. And our goal is very clear: to improve grade 3 reading, to reduce the number of young people not in work or training, and to ensure that every learner is supported from grade R to matric. Honourable Speaker, this is the Western Cape difference. In the face of national uncertainty, we choose planning over panic. We choose investment over inertia. We choose our children's future over short-term fixes. This budget is a down payment on that future. It scales our infrastructure, our safety, and our quality, so we can scale our growth and our hope. We are not just holding the line, but we are building the future, one school, one learner, one opportunity at a time. The DA fully supports this budget. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Johnson. I now recognise the Minister, Minister Mania.
Thank you, Speaker. We've highlighted some of the key budget priorities for our department in the years ahead. To improve learning outcomes, we are continuing with our highly successful Back on Track program to reverse learning losses and introducing new measures in the foundation phase to improve early grade literacy and numeracy. And to expand access to education, we are continuing to build new schools and classrooms faster than ever before through our Rapid School Build program and working with EduInvest to increase private sector investment into education. We have been absolutely clear during this debate that we do face very significant fiscal uncertainty over the medium term, which is why we have adjusted the budget by 521 million rand or 1.5% and realigned funding to improve our ability to deal with service delivery pressures over the medium term. The Back on Track program, Speaker, has been a huge success. As I said, the University of Stellenbosch, which independently evaluated the program, found that learners participating in the Back on Track program have recovered up to 205 days worth of learning lost during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the extra training, as I said in my opening remarks, for grade 4 and 7 teachers has in fact been accredited by the South African Council for Educators. The fact is, the Back on Track program is a huge success and has given hope to more than 23,000 learners here in the Western Cape. We have also, of course, noted the judgment to which some honourable members referred. But of course, what was not mentioned in the debate, what was not mentioned in the debate, Honourable Speaker, was that the judgment was not unanimous. The judgment was not unanimous. In fact, the dissenting judgment states that the main judgment is, and I quote, flawed, and that the admissions policy, and I quote, does not discriminate, let alone unfairly so, on the basis of race, poverty, place of birth, and social origin. We have, in fact, made extensive support available to parents for extremely late applications, to communicate essential information, and of course, to assist parents in applying for places in our schools. We specifically target our infrastructure investments to areas where increased demand is predicted and do everything we can to place extremely late applicants as quickly as possible, despite these applications, Speaker, arriving over 8 months late. We are, of course, taking legal advice on the judgment, including, of course, on the potential for an appeal. It is also, I would think, Speaker, unfortunate that SAT2 and equal education have chosen to challenge our collaboration schools model in the court, which makes high quality, no fee education available to learners in poor communities here in the Western Cape. The model has produced some excellent results, with learners having access to incredible learning opportunities. One need only look at collaboration schools like Apex High School and Jake Scatterville Technical School to see the benefit that the model offers. We have always maintained, Speaker, that the challenge brought by SAT2 and equal education was without basis. So where does that leave us? Well, we are standing for, and indeed fighting for, high quality, no fee education for poor learners. But on the other side, we have SAT2 and equal education and the ANC opposing and fighting against high quality, no fee education opportunities for poor learners here in the Western Cape. That, Speaker, is the truth. In the end, Speaker, I would like to conclude by thanking members of the committee for the spirit in which they have debated and indeed engaged the department this year. While we certainly do not agree on everything, it is clear that we do agree that on the importance of education in securing a brighter future for our children. To our Superintendent General, Mr. Brent Walters, and to our team of dedicated WCED officials, thank you for your outstanding support for our learners this year. Even in the most challenging of circumstances, the grit and the dedication with which our officials approach their works speaks volumes about our shared vision of quality education for every learner in every classroom, in every school here in the Western Cape. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister, honourable members. That concludes the debate on this vote. The Secretary will read the 7th order of the day.
Debate on Vote 7, Social Development, Western Cape Adjustments Appropriation Bill B5 of 2025.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Minister of Social Development, Minister Lawrence.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and everybody who sat through a long day. Let's wrap this up. I'm going to turn things around right at the end of the day, and I'm going to start off by thanking. Firstly, I want to thank the NGOs and the NPOs who strengthen our hand. When we say it's a whole of society approach, they live that out in action. Your work is not easy, but your passion, it drives change. To the HOD, Dr. Robert McDonald, to you and all the staff, thank you so much for what you're doing. It is truly an honor working with you in this department. And to my ministry staff that has to work day in and day out with me, I am so sorry, but thank you so much for all your support in making sure that we get through this year. This year's budget looks significantly different from last year's. It reflects a department that continues to demonstrate resilience and innovation despite years of navigating a constrained fiscal environment. The department has received an increase of 34.2 million, bringing our adjusted allocation to 2,759,830,000 rand. Speaker, as a department, we have achieved much with very little. And now, entrusted with a little more, we will scale up services to those who need them the most. This would not be possible without a dedicated management team, our hardworking staff, who continuously respond to increasing service demands each day with compassion and commitment. The additional 21 million in funding will strengthen several critical areas as follows: the SWIMS app, the Social Work Integrated Management System, I've explained that earlier today, but what I want to highlight with that is the reduced risk of cases slipping through the crack, and it strengthens referral pathways between Western Cape government partners and partner NGOs. There's now 1,163 DSD social work professionals that are using the systems. We have rolled this out to the 3 designated child protection organization called Stelcare, who has 47 users, Valley Development Project, 17 users, and the RCFFF with 200 users, benefiting more than 260 social workers. The 73 social workers in the education department already received the training, and the first 23 social workers in health and wellness, with many more to come in the new year. The early adolescent skills for emotions, the EASE program, we received an additional 2 million. And with the mental health challenges among young people on the rise, EASE equips learners aged 10 to 14 with the tools to understand and manage their emotions, reduce symptoms of depression and anxiety, and build long-term well-being. Emotional stability is the foundation to educational success, employability, and safer communities. The time program for rural communities, I've touched on that earlier as well, but it will assist individuals battling with substance use disorders to make healthier, more constructive use of their time, because rural families face unique pressures, distances, poverty, and limited access to services. Time deepens community-based support by equipping houses with parenting skill, early intervention services, and psychosocial support. For the older persons, 15 million has been allocated to strengthen them. 5 million for increased bed spaces, specifically level 1, and 10 million to enhance health, nutrition, and dignity programs. This is how a caring government that honors those who built the foundation we stand on. Speaker, I know the following one you will enjoy a lot. 1 million has been allocated for a new service dedicated to children exiting alternative residential care. While child protection remains a core priority, many young people leave care and find themselves vulnerable once again due to limited support. We have researched best practice interventions to build resilience and prevent reintegration into at-risk environments. The department is embarking on a pilot program on independent living to support. This pilot will develop industry standards, expand services for children preparing to exit child and youth care centers, fund 3 independent living organizations supporting, as a start, 40 young people leaving alternative care. Phase 1 will begin in January, and if successful, we aim to expand this program, protecting the multi-million rand investment we've already made in vulnerable children and supporting their transition to responsible, resilient adulthood. Then, Speaker, this financial year, we delivered 3 specially, no, that is, in addition, we have delivered, I'm so glad some of the members are still listening late in the day. But with, it's funny to say my sister department, but Minister Seleku, we funded through the rollover 5.7 million to get specially adapted vehicles serving children with profound intellectual disabilities and their family. The total of these vehicles are now 17. The partnership in collaboration with the Mobility Department is commendable. This demonstrates the Western Cape Department's ongoing commitment not only to vulnerable residents, but also to the organizations that strengthen our hand. I do want to thank the Minister of Finance, Minister Bartman, for reaffirming support to the Cape Care Fund, the Social Development Foundation partnership, together with the Health Foundation, that mobilizes off-budget funding for the care programs. This mechanism allows us to pilot new interventions, attract philanthropic capital, and expand services despite the national constraint. This is a government that leverages and not only spends, a government that innovates by supporting our partners, investing in the NPOs, because they are the ones that help us to serve the vulnerable. We cannot and we will not leave these organizations in the cold. We do support them. This department fully utilizes its resources. We have consistently demonstrated responsible transparent, and accountable spending for the benefit of those who depend on us. And we stand ready to do more. As we conclude 16 days of activism for no violence against women and children, we await further clarity on the national classification of GBV and femicide as a national disaster. What we know for certain is this: we are ready to responsibly and compassionately manage any additional funding that flows from this decision, provided that our province also receives its fair share. We will continue scaling up support for every vulnerable resident, every child, older person, survivor of GBV, person with a disability, and every individual battling with a substance disorder. I wish each and every one of you a blessed festive season. And if you are willing and able, remember there are many that's less fortunate. So do step up, as the Premier said right at the beginning of this year, and follow the example of KFM and Community Chess, who just launched the 12 Days of Hope to bring joy to children in care that cannot go to families or placements in this holiday season. Thank you so much.
Baie dankie aan die agbare minister. I recognize Honourable Comfort.
Dankie, agbare speaker, lede in die huis. Agbare speaker, vandag het ons die begroting ter tafel. Agbare speaker, laat my toe om te gaan na die volgende. Die ANC, agbare speaker, wil stryd na vore kom, speaker. Die ANC verwerp die voorgestelde begroting vir die maatskaplike ondienste, maatskaplike ontwikkeling, omdat die volgens hulle die kwesbare beskermings nie die kapasiteit van die departement versterk nie. Die departement het 'n ernstige vakaturekoers van 29%, maar die begroting word gesny met meer as 21% uit personeelkoste, wat dit onmoontlik maak, speaker, om die kritiese poste te vul. Agbare speaker, alhoewel dit baie belangrike kinderbeleide onlangs deur hierdie kabinet goedgekeur is, voorsien die begroting nie die nodige hulpbronne om hierdie beloftes in praktyk te realiseer nie. Agbare speaker, dit laat die ANC geen ander keuse om te beklemtoon dat woorde alleen nie die kinders kan beskerm of hulle honger kan verlig nie, sonder voldoende befondsing nie. Agbare speaker, wat byna 4 miljoen van hierdie wat bedoel was vir persone met gestremdhede is nie bestee nie en eerder vir sekuriteit gebruik. Hulle wys daarop dat voedselondersekerheid, mishandeling, tienerswangerskap, tekort aan skuiling onvoldoende befondsing word, wat die nood in gemeenskappe vererger. Agbare speaker, dit stel 'n alternatiewe visie. Die ANC stel 'n alternatiewe visie voor. Alle vakature maatskaplike diensposte gevul moet word. Agbare speaker, kinders en gesinde diens verstrek en daarop alle behoeftes voorrang geniet. Die hulpbegroting word beskryf as 'n verwaarlosing eerder as 'n sorg. Daarom moet die ANC dit moet verwerp word. Agbare speaker, tens afsluiting noem die ANC dat ons kan nie langer, speaker, ons skuld ons mense meer aksie, nie meer woorde nie. En ek dank u, agbare speaker.
Thank you very much. I recognize the Honourable Stevens.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. The Patriotic Alliance supports Budget Vote 7 for social development. These resources are vital to support our vulnerable communities. However, we are deeply concerned about several urgent issues. Older persons and disability grants are being unfairly withheld, often for reasons as small as having money in the accounts provided by the children. This is unacceptable, and the Provincial Parliament must ensure that the National Department is held accountable. We are also concerned about old age homes, where boards controlling residents' finances have led to neglect and mismanagement, leaving our elderly vulnerable. Social workers require more support to address heavy workloads, field resistance, and limited resources, which currently limits their ability to protect children and vulnerable families effectively. The Provincial Parliament must also invest in more drug and alcohol abuse centers, particularly in high-risk areas, so that vulnerable children can be removed from environments controlled by gangsterism and addiction. Finally, the department must continue to prioritize gender-based violence in the protection of abused children. These issues require immediate attention and dedicated resources. While the Patriotic Alliance support this vote, we call on the department to act decisively on these matters to ensure that vulnerable South Africans, our elderly, children, and those with disabilities are fully protected and supported. Thank you, speakers.
Thank you very much. I recognize Honorable Heron.
Speaker, I don't have a declaration. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just for the record, members, I was alerted by the table staff that Honorable Kasim is unfortunately not able to make a submission due to connectivity issues. So we move on to Honorable Kaiser Philander.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, honourable members and fellow residents of the Western Cape. It is with great pride and a deep sense of responsibility that I rise before you today as the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Social Development to acknowledge and celebrate the remarkable strategic investments made by the Western Cape Department of Social Development in this year's adjusted budget. These investments, through careful and compassionate planning, are a clear reflection of their collective commitment to enhancing the lives of our most vulnerable citizens and creating a brighter, more inclusive future for all. Agbare Speaker, die aansuiveringsbegroting wat vanjaar voor ons gelê is 'n plan vir sosiale vordering gegrond op die waardes van sorg, medelee en waardigheid. Dit spreek volumes oor die rigting waarin ons as 'n provinsie beweeg. Een wat sy mense waardeer en verstaan dat ware vordering slegs gemeet kan word aan die sterkte van ons sosiale weefsel. One of the most significant allocations in this year's budget is the R2 million earmarked for the Social Work Integrated Management System. This initiative is a pivotal step towards improving the efficiency and effectiveness of social work services in the province. By enhancing coordination and streamlining case management, we are not just cutting red tape, we are ensuring that thousands of vulnerable individuals and families can access the help they need when they need it most. This investment will reduce waiting times, improve follow-up care, and ultimately deliver a higher standard of service for our residents. Honourable Speaker, furthermore, the department's unwavering commitment to the elderly is clearly reflected in the R5 million allocation towards increasing bed spaces for older persons and restoring level 1 capacity in our old age homes. This investment directly addresses the needs of non-frail but on the breadline seniors, ensuring that they have a safe and dignified place to live during their later years. Our elders are the bedrock upon which our society was built, and it is essential for us to ensure they are cared for in their time of need. This allocation is about making sure that our seniors who have contributed so much to our communities are never forgotten. Agbare Speaker, die addisionele R10 miljoen beleggings in sorg, gesondheid en waardigheidsprogramme vir ouer persone neem hierdie verbintenis selfs verder. Dit gaan oor die bevordering van die fisiese, geestelike en emosionele welstand van ons bejaardes, omdat hulle verdien om nie net met waardigheid, maar ook met vreugde en sekuriteit te leef. Dit is 'n stap in die regte rigting vir 'n provinsie wat regtig sy burgers op elke lewensfase waardeer. Hierdie beleggings demonstreer weer eens dat die Wes-Kaapse Departement van Maatskaplike Ontwikkeling verbind is tot die versterking van ons maatskaplike dienste, die opheffing van kwesbare groepe en die versekering dat geestesgesondheid 'n prioriteit vir elke inwoner is, ongeag hul agtergrond of omstandighede. Honourable members, honourable Speaker, another critical area of focus is the ongoing fight against gender-based violence. The recruitment of over 860 GBV ambassadors across the province is a bold and vital step in ensuring that survivors of abuse are supported, heard and protected. Die werk van hierdie ambassadeurs wat sterk staan in hul gemeenskappe, hul tyd, hul hulpbronne en hul sorg aanbied, is van onskatbare waarde. Deur hul pogings bou ons 'n samelewing waar geslagsgebaseerde geweld nie meer geduld word nie en waar elke individu die reg het om vry van vrees te leef. Agbare spreker, vandag staan ons voor 'n aansuiveringsbegroting wat nie net oor syfers en statistieke gaan nie. Dit gaan oor die werklike tasbare impak wat hierdie fondse op die lewens van die mense wat ons dien sal hê. Die Wes-Kaapse Departement van Maatskaplike Ontwikkeling het weer eens leierskap, medelee en verantwoordelikheid getoon deur te verseker dat maatskaplike dienste steeds 'n prioriteit in die Wes-Kaap bly. Deur hierdie beleggings werk hulle na 'n Wes-Kaap toe waar waardigheid nie onderhandelbaar is nie, maar waar gesinne ondersteun word en waar elke inwoner, jonk of oud, stedelik of landelik, die geleentheid het om 'n lewe van hoop, veiligheid en geleenthede te leef. Honourable Speaker, as the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Social Development, I support this budget in the strongest possible terms. It is a budget of care, a budget of action, and above all, a budget of progress. Honourable Speaker, with that interruption, as the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Social Development, I support this budget in the strongest possible terms. It is a budget of care, a budget of action, and above all, a budget of progress. The work done here today through these strategic investments is a testament to the shared vision we have for a better, more compassionate Western Cape. Together we continue to build a province that uplifts, protects, and empowers its people. Together we build a future we can all be proud of. The DA supports this adjustment budget, and I thank you, Speaker.
Baie dankie aan die agbare Keiser Philander. I recognize the Minister, Minister Lond.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I'm going to start with the Honourable Comfort. And for those watching online, there was just a noise made by the Honourable Lacker's phone. And that noise was actually better than the entire input by Honourable Comfort. So soos u die begroting verwerk ek die kommentaar ook. Honourable Stevens.
Honourable Minister, please take your seat. Honourable Lacker, is that a point of order?
As a point of order, Honourable Speaker, I want to know if it's honourable for the minister to say Honourable Kamfar was making a noise when he was delivering a speech.
Thank you very much. Order, I will rule on that. Honourable Lacker, that is not what the Minister indicated. The Minister indicated that the contribution made by Honourable Kamfer was less than what the interruption of the noise in the chamber. So that is not what the Honourable Minister indicated, so that is not a point of order. Honourable Minister, you may continue.
Agbare Stevens, baie dankie vir u insette. Alles wat u wel aangeraak het is ook in die begroting en ons het ook in die komitee aangespreek. So ek hoef dit nie te herhaal nie. Ek sal wel net sorg dat u weer 'n afskrif kry van dit. And then Honourable Keiser Philander, I mean, as chairperson, you really set an example of firstly how you keep oversight over us. We sometimes feel you call us a lot to the meetings, but that's the role. And after the contribution of the opposition today, you brought back the integrity of this standing committee and the standard. So I do want to thank you for that as well. Yeah, I can give a round of applause. It is really an honor working with the entire standing committee. Most of the time, it is constructive inputs, valuable inputs where we take one another's hands, issues that you flag, we take it to heart, we implement the corrective measures, the additional 15 million for the older persons, that's a testimony to that. So We do understand there's a little bit of grandstanding and politics when it comes to the speeches and the cameras on some of the members. But I do want to say thank you, Honorable Kaiser Falana, to what you are doing. And to some of the staff that joined a little bit later today, I did say thank you to each and every one of you. It is really an honor leading this department, working with you. You really took a newbie on board and made sure that we take this department to higher levels. So may you, each and every one of you, have a blessed festive season. Rest well. You've done a lot this year for the residents of the Western Cape. Those that's keeping the fort, thank you so much. Spend time with your loved ones, and we come back in the new year with renewed vigor and we hit the road running. Thank you so much, Speaker.
Thank you very much, honourable members and honourable Minister. That concludes the debate on this vote, and that also concludes the business for the day. The Secretary will now close the online meeting and the House is adjourned.